And the Bucks all took a knee during the first two possessions of their game to protest the continued social injustice. Right now on ESPN, it's halftime in Miami, and the Heat trail the Boston Celtics by 10, 55-45. This, of course, a rematch of last season's NBA Eastern Conference Finals. The teams issuing a joint statement before the opening tip saying they are playing with heavy hearts, a reference to the incident today where rioters stormed their way into the U.S. Capitol building. And that situation did cause the postponement of George Washington's men's home game in basketball against UMass. The Cleveland Browns went through today without any new positive COVID-19 tests. Their game is on for Sunday night in Pittsburgh, the playoff game, that is. The Browns will be without head coach Kevin Stefanski and two players recently testing positive for COVID-19. ESPN Cleveland reporter Evan Golden describes what the Browns might be missing without Stefanski on the sidelines.
The discipline, the calmness. You know, I think about last year, there were a lot of times when it felt like Freddie Kitchens would let the game get away from him because maybe the run game didn't work early, so he'd get away from it. Those things didn't happen with Kevin Stefanski. He had a plan. He stuck to it. If adjustments needed to be made, they made it, but he never panicked, and I think you saw that with the players.
College basketball on ESPN2 right now. Number 9, Tennessee up 1 on Arkansas with 20 seconds to go.
Coming up on Thursday, all the preseason hype was about the Brooklyn Nets. But right now, it's a team playing around Times Square that we should really be talking about, the New York Knicks. I'll tell you why they're finally back, but will they be able to sustain is another question. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin, 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Isn't this a sports show?
You know this about me. I love the goofs and the ha-has. And that, frankly, should be the name of this show. I love the goofs and the ha-has.
Almost entirely.
I think for me, anything that's like, cringe comedy, my general inclination is to step away from that. But this sounds much smarter than I was afraid it would be.
Your whole brand is cringe comedy, Josh.
That's fair.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco. Take the show with you by listening on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app at 810WHB.com or by searching for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
That was a upsetting sound that I had to make with my mouth.
This is Almost Entirely Sports on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Speaking of cringe comedy, tonight's show is going to have some of it. Welcome into what can only be described as the newest, most recent strange edition of Almost Entirely Sports. I'm Joshua Brisco, recently placed on the COVID-19 reserve list as a high-risk contact, similarly to Chiefs defensive end Mike Dana. Completely unrelated reasons. We've not been in any contact, but I'm back at home for I don't know how long. Well, we'll see. That's the whole process of determining the closeness of the contact and whatnot. But I am doing a show from home for the first time in quite a while. Rudy's back in the studio. Beards is back on the other side of the glass. And I don't know if anybody's been on Twitter today or had a TV nearby, but today is also not. Here's the crazy thing. I was texting earlier with one of our guests tonight, Harold Kuntz of Fox4. He'll join us here in about an hour. He texted me earlier today to be like, hey, still on for tonight? And I almost had to, think about the question for a second. Because, yeah, of course we're still on for tonight. We've pretty much, similarly to how we've said the Chiefs only play weird games, Almost Entirely Sports only has weird extenuating circumstances around it. We have had so many shows within the last 9 months or so, going back really just sort of post-Super Bowl. We've just had strange show after strange show, partially in some cases for reasons that were totally within our own control, of course, but oftentimes for things completely above our heads. And tonight is one of those. We'll be here for 3 hours. We'll talk to Harold in an hour. We'll talk to Sterling Holmes of ESPN Kansas City, also Arrowhead Addict, and we'll talk to him at 10 tonight. And we'll talk about some Chiefs stuff and some NFL playoff stuff, but it's gonna be a series of just sort of weird things all conflicting. And, we've gone through this enough times this year that I can't say I haven't kind of thought about, the role of the media that people go to. And I don't mean like information media. I mean like, us. I mean this show, entertainment media, where you say, I have listened to so many episodes of the podcast My Brother and Me, basically just sort of all the way around the pandemic and everything, because that show is just sort of a warm embrace in terms of something that you can listen to. That it's the reason that Rudy has seen through The Office 1,000 total times. Is that a fair estimate?
Close.
It might be low.
I can't argue it. I wouldn't say you're wrong. I don't so I wish Netflix had released a your year in review thing, but I'm also kind of happy that I will never know the fact that I spent 5,000 hours of my life in the last year watching The Office.
Yeah, probably best to leave that just sort of between you and God.
For sure.
Or just, you never actually have to put a number on that. But so I think that, and we've heard some people, in fact, some of the Spotify year in reviews that people were tweeting out at the end of 2020, including this show, makes me know that there are people that listen to this show in a similar way of just like, we're going to learn some things here and there, we're going to have fun, and we're going to occasionally have, the societal conversations that catch Josh's eye for any period of time. And that's great. And we do all of those things. And that's just sort of, I tweeted earlier that we'll have some silly, some serious, and some sports tonight. We're gonna hit all three S's in those categories. And frankly, I don't really have anything to say in the big sort of societal conversations of everything that's happened over the course of the day today, because this is a little naive, but at least partially, I think that most of the country is aligned in maybe don't storm the Capitol, right? So I don't feel like this is, we've had a lot of conversations about the things that have spilled over into the sports world, and tried to drill in on some of that stuff. So I think it's interesting. Today was just sort of one of those days where I couldn't look away from the TV screen, which is something that I know a lot of other people were doing today. A lot of other people had the stream up on the TV, or were watching a news channel, and then also had TweetDeck open somewhere. And that was my day today for 8 or 9 hours. And I still didn't know that Ricky Seals-Jones had signed to the Chiefs practice squad until somebody tweeted to me and Beards about it.
First time hearing about it.
Is it really?
Yep, did not know.
So good. That's so good.
And
man.
honestly, if you had told me he had signed to the practice squad a couple days ago, I probably would have been like, sure. I imagine that makes sense. It makes total sense that he would, that they would. I imagine, hey, we talked about it yesterday, 2 days ago. Whatever. When you talked about Andy Reid, and one of the reasons why Ricky Seals-Jones picked here is because they told him the whole Demetrius Harris, they had a plan, they followed it, and there was probably some of that too. That's hey, we're cutting you because we need to add some guys, but we want you here. This is still part of the plan. So that's not, not surprised. Just had no idea that it had actually happened.
That's exactly where I ended up at one point, because I responded to Beards and the guy that had tweeted it to both of us. I said, I literally have been on Twitter for 8 hours today, and I don't know if that's a joke or not, because you also get Mike Dana going to the reserve COVID-19 list as a high-risk contact.
I never saw on Twitter, but I got the notification, and I have been staring at Twitter all day.
Yeah. It's just one of those, it's just been one of those days where, and it's the kind of baffling thing about it, and again, I don't think we're going to spend a lot of time in that realm today, probably. I don't know, maybe something will happen. But there have been so many days. This is something that I was kind of taking inventory of earlier that I know a lot of people will have similar thoughts about. There have been so many days in the last 9 or 10 months where I've kind of had the little self-aware in the moment of I should kind of file today as a meaningful unique, like a day that people will talk about in 10 or 15 years, and I'll be able to say, like, yeah, I know where I was when that happened. I was staring at my phone, sitting in my office chair. But there've just been so many of those days where you find what feel like these varying, heavy, turning point, noteworthy moments that obviously also come with real human costs. I don't want to like boil everything down to just the pop culture moment of it or whatever. There were some very bad lists that did that recently on Twitter of like, that's from Tom Hanks getting COVID to this brutal murder. Here are some of the biggest cultural turning point moments of 2020. Like, that's not good. Let's try to be slightly more self-aware in the way that we talk about those things. But there have just been so many of these days, going back to the show we did from the Big 12 tournament as sports were shutting down back in March. I can't even imagine how you would shove more crazy things into a 365-day period than we have all experienced in this last year. And I have no reason to think that it's on its way out. Turning the calendar didn't mean that we're going to go into a non-crazy 2021. There's still going to have to be a transition of power in this country, and there's still a pandemic where vaccinations are not moving at the pace they need to be, and that's going to take some time still. But I just can't help but try to take the 30,000-foot view a little more purposefully sometimes, because putting it all into a larger context only makes it more bizarre and remarkable in their own different and often terrible ways. So I don't know. I don't need to bring anybody to a particular thought process or finish line tonight. In fact, I've been slightly distracted by trying to figure out if something's gone wrong with our various live video connections, or if something happened in transition. Speaking of a peaceful transition of power, how about a peaceful transition of graphics? Because the bottom third graphic that we have done for 2021's show's beers that is fresh up tonight or yesterday's show, I think, it looks very pixelated on the streams. Like, did it have to get resized whenever you dropped it into our streaming software? Because it looks pixelated in a way the rest of the video really doesn't.
It was larger than the video, so I just had to shrink it down.
Interesting.
Which I think we did with the other ones, and it was fine.
Whenever it got shrunk, well, go look at any of the streams. I pulled up both the YouTube and the Twitch. And we can actually figure this out during the break. I can resize it and send it to you. You can double check, maybe try to re-add it in there. But I've just been sort of distracted by this very cool kind of pixelated aesthetic that was not on purpose, and I don't think actually looks good. But I don't. Maybe you can send me at some point the dimensions you need that in, I guess, to size it correctly, and I'll send you an updated one. Because you can look at it, and Rudy, you can tell me if it's my internet or if I'm crazy.
No,
but it doesn't. I can't read it.
I can read it.
Are you that blind?
I can't read my Twitter handle, which is the most important part.
Well, also yours is in the worst color for that.
Yeah, so I can read it, but I think that's largely because I know it's a JB Brisco. Like the BB and the R are definitely blending in. Like I didn't really notice it at first, but it's definitely pixelated.
It's all very pixely. Hey, Beards, fix it.
No.
Oh, okay.
Again, I know it says at JBB Brisco with an E because
thank you.
I know what your handle is.
Right.
So it's one of those deals. If you move the letters around, turn them upside down, maybe you forgot you put your E in there, I would know the E is supposed to be there.
By the way, I wanted to point out, while we're having this super serious discussion to start the show, the camera is focused on your cutout cartoon face on a snowman.
Yeah, that's true and important. Listen, why don't you focus on fixing the bottom third? Why would the quality of it go to hell like that?
Because I think we're going through a new service for all the stream stuff, and I think that has scaled down resolution. It's transmitting at 852 by 480 now instead of 1020, what we were used to doing.
But the actual, that might be true, and I think it does that based off, you know what, some of the older streams also are having relatively similar issues recently, you're right. Interesting. Well, all right. Let's make a note of the technical struggles then.
People, if you're listening, the thing that really is making Josh mad here, so I'll just solve this. It's his Twitter handle. It's at JB Brisco with an E.
See, the thing is, there's not an E there, and then other than that, you nailed it.
Here, hang on. I will fix it. I have a better idea. I will fix it. You keep doing your show. You keep doing the show. I'll fix this.
I can see my Twitter handle on the snowman right now. It's fine. I just realized that graphic did not work. We're going to have to figure it out.
We need to also fix the snowman's Twitter handle, because that piece of paper has seen some better days.
That's true. But haven't we all? Isn't that the point of all of this?
Yeah, that piece of paper has really experienced 2020 the way we all have.
Can I... So this is what I was thinking whenever I heard the new intro. By the way, good intro, Beards.
Thank you.
Excellent. It's a very fun intro. I saw a post pop up on Twitter. A tweet popped up, but it linked to an Instagram post of someone's thoughts on sort of just the events of the day today. And I know that, again, this is a very kind of heavy topic. But I was curious if you guys would be interested in me reading it, and then I'll let you know who posted about it.
Yeah.
There, I fixed it.
Okay.
What did you do? I'm on our. By the way, if you want to see, no, thank you, Beards.
It has no. I don't know.
Yeah, if you want to see the visual joke from this audio medium, you can watch the show in a variety of places, including the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook page, YouTube.com/810WHB, and Twitch.tv/Sports Radio 810. Beards has really fixed it. Yep, that's good work.
Thank you.
There's at least.
Oh, okay, I got it.
It's just for the audio joke for everyone. You can go look at it if you'd like. It's just in very large text across the screen. It says at JB Brisco, but there's an E. That, just so you know, Beard shouldn't be there.
Your mom has already commented saying that there should be no E, but listen, I can't fix it now. I fixed it once. I've already fixed it once. I can't fix it twice.
Why don't you also just type up a red X and just put it over the E as its own unique layer
I used to have that somewhere. Let's see if I still do.
Yeah, why don't you go look into that? I'm gonna read this very serious thing, and then we can move on to other topics. Today I was informed about the shameful assault that was waged on our democracy, the Capitol, and all of those great leaders, U.S. representatives and senators, who are elected by we the people. We must remember that we all reside under two beautiful colors, red and blue, which simply means we should conduct ourselves peacefully with the purpose of decency. Therefore, I, Bill Cosby, will recite the words of a great man who stood strong during the Rodney King riots and said, quote, "Go home peacefully and watch find an episode of the Cosby Show to watch. Mayor Tom Bradley, Los Angeles." Of all of the things that I just didn't think we were gonna see and really didn't think that we needed today, it was Bill Cosby's 2 cents. I just genuinely got kind of taken aback by that one. Like, at this point, I expect to see a selfie video that starts off, "Hey, Twitter world, it's me, yours truly," from O.J. Simpson.
We haven't gotten that yet. You're right.
I went to check and see if he has not said anything about this issue, because I was prepared to go back to back O.J. Bill Cosby. But at this point, I don't follow OJ on Twitter any longer. It got to the point of making me too upset, I think, every time. But I saw, "Hey, Twitter world." I've seen that enough times to, like, well, at least I know, like, he's not in prison. And so it makes sense on some level, but it mostly really doesn't. Seeing a tweet from, I'm pretty sure, still imprisoned Bill Cosby. Just playing it straight, man. He's just out here just trying to get the world back on track. And also, like, is telling people to go watch the Cosby Show. I don't think he's going to get to spend any more of those royalties from that, right?
I mean, I don't know exactly how, his whole, the fine details of all of his situation and how much of those royalties are going to other people now. But there was a lot, so he might still be getting some.
I just don't know if he's going to get anyway. I don't know. I don't know. I just thought that was jarring in a really particular type of way. I also just, having TweetDeck open to go find something else that I thought was going to be worth discussing has informed me of some more things going on currently in the world at the moment.
Bad night to be a Josh.
You know,
Josh is getting dragged on Twitter right now.
Do you know, I'm going to have to tweet this out mid-show, do you know how hard it is to be a Josh who lives in Missouri right now?
Not good. It's not easy.
It's not. I'll tell you what, of all of the people currently being broadcast in some form of media named Josh who live in Missouri, I'm getting less heat with or without the E at the end of my name. Anyway.
Florio's not a fan of you, man.
Really?
Yeah.
Really like Florio's out here. Excellent. That's
not a fan
exciting.
of you. I mean, I assume he's talking about you. He didn't add anybody, so I can only assume.
The other thing that I thought would just be really excellent to talk about tonight was something we didn't get to yesterday, and I think it's my most recent tweet, so you should be able to go see it right now at JB Brisco, no E, if you haven't seen it yet. I have become the I've become the who what's the word for bringing together a bunch of stories, not like an aggregator, but like if you are picking and choosing like a series of essays you're going to put into a book or something. This is not a joke. I just cannot think of that word. You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about, but I'm not totally for sure.
Oh, this is so frustrating.
Because aggregator would have been the word I would have went to.
I find bespoke posts from Chief's Facebook. I am the compiler, perhaps. I consider myself an archivist. I'll go with an archivist because I can't think of what the actual word would be. But I have many times over waded through some Chiefs Facebook groups because sometimes they can be a mixed bag, but occasionally whenever it's bad, it's really bad, which could also be said for Twitter or every social media platform. But the specific way that Facebook groups are constructed really makes it easy for some of the some of the mess to kind of rise to the top.
Would you be a compositor? Is that what you're thinking of? Like a composition? Like your compile?
No, I don't. I'm trying to think of there's a specific word that I think in a written form where you are. Boy, I hate that.
I'm on the short story collection Wikipedia page, and so I'm trying to see if I can't find something there.
I'm trying to. I don't even know what to Google.
By the way, I was not able to find a red X out that was transparent that would work for this, so I just fixed it for you. You're fine. Your name is now spelled correctly.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I forgot that was still there. That's so you can go to see the tweet. You can take that down if you'd like. I just was sort of bummed about how the bottom third graphic.
No, I think I'm going to leave it up for a while. We'll see how long, but I'm going to leave it for a little bit.
That's fine. I really need an aggregator thesaurus. I'm looking for synonyms now for the word aggregator. We've got 97 feeds of
Are you an
comments up. I'm hoping
anthologist?
No, also not the word I was looking for.
Are you a compiler?
Compiler's also not really it. I feel like there's a very specific literary word. And I know that girlfriend Renee is not listening right now, because if she was, she would have eventually barged in to just yell at me whatever the word would be, because she probably knows what I'm thinking of. I'll find that during the break while I also check O.J. Simpson's Twitter account to see if he said anything yet. But as a I don't know. As a archaeologist even, really, of Chiefs Facebook. I occasionally find some things. Some of the best stuff are like custom t-shirts that are clearly bootlegs of various things. Like Patrick Mahomes' face is like badly photoshopped on someone holding up a shirt that's just... there's all sorts of stuff that can come from there. If you search the hashtag Today on Chiefs Facebook on Twitter, you will you'll see a series of what these things have been. But the real winner from this group was from a couple days ago, because it was a brand new tattoo that someone had gotten. And I just can't urge everyone enough to go. I'm going to retweet it from my own. No, I'm not going to retweet it right now. Twitter's a little hot at this moment. If you go to at JB Brisco on Twitter, I think it's the thing I retweeted most recently. It is a picture. It is a tattoo of the picture of Patrick Mahomes pouring the beer from the top of the party bus into Travis Kelce's mouth during the Super Bowl parade. But for the sake of the composition of the tattoo, they're both sort of superimposed kind of on top of each other a little bit, which is an artistic choice that I'm willing to allow. I also don't think it was out of a glass bottle. I'm like 99% sure they were drinking out of those like sort of bottle-shaped aluminum cans. Anyway. Everything about it is just like 10 degrees off in a way that it's kind of beautiful. I hope that if whoever has this tattoo is a listener to this show, I hope you understand that I am not putting you on blast, because frankly, I even think the idea, if you're going to get a kind of a weird celebratory Chiefs tattoo, something that's like very unique to one particular moment in time, this is a pretty good idea. But Patrick Mahomes' ears are too long, the hands are all a bit of a mess, and maybe most importantly, I've looked at this tattoo for a very long time. I'm continuing to stare at it now. The stream of beer, and Rudy and Beards, I would beg of you, please pull this up so you can see this in real time.
Mm-hmm.
The stream of liquid coming out of the beer bottle is a consistent, nearly perfect cylinder that is going straight into Travis Kelce's mouth in a way that I could only describe as sort of upsetting. Because here's the thing: if you've ever go to your sink or get your friend to come pour a liquid from in this image it's probably like 2 or 3 feet, but in the original one it was like 15 or 20 feet. But if you pour liquid from on high, as it pours out of its vessel, it's not going to be in a perfect stream. There'll be points where it breaks, where the water breaks, or the beer, whatever.
Yeah. And
it kind of comes out in droplets and stuff. This one looks it makes it look like there's a very long, thin baseball bat connecting the tattoo Travis Kelce mouth with the tattoo beer bottle. And it's just all kind of haunting.
Yeah.
I think haunting is my new choice word.
And the fact that in the Kelce is almost like a mouth open smile.
Yeah, and his eyes are closed, like he's dreaming. Yeah.
Also, the arm is ever so slightly off on Kelce.
No, the arm is definitely too short, even with perspective. That's a good call.
And I don't know what he's pointing at. It might have been the man on a horse, but...
Victory! He's pointing to victory!
As I'm figuring out where this tattoo probably was... he's absolutely... pointing at this person's butt for sure,
or at least general area of the butt.
I'm saying
the
whole
opposite.
WHOLE, and not inverting those words. Also, somebody else tweeted this to me, and you can go ahead and just with your hand kind of crop it as you see fit. This appears to be, you can see a knee. I'm guessing it's the outside of this person's thigh. think about where shorts would hit, and it gets kind of more upsetting. Because what happens is I think Patrick Mahomes and the beer bottle are going to end up no longer being in the picture. And you're just going to have a sort of wonky Travis Kelce with a perfect cylinder of who knows what just kind of hanging there. I don't know, man. It's a choice. And listen. My first tattoo is a pine cone on fire. My second tattoo is a quarter. I know. It's not that I'm throwing stones from inside of a glass house. They're both executed very well, though. So I've had good artists, which I feel like this guy could maybe get a little. I don't know. I wonder how much of a tip he left. But you might say, well, Josh, you've got stupid tattoo ideas that you apparently don't regret somehow, which is true. You should not be throwing stones from inside of your glass house, but what I would beg you to hear is that I'm throwing stones knowing that everything around me is made of glass. And I still think it's important that we point at this and say, man, just take this tattoo to an artist that you've seen their work before, that you've seen them do, or like ask to see the drawing before they start just whacking it on there. And clearly, like, some work went into it. It's not just the worst thing of all time, because there is shading. There are details that are like, well, there's, an effort was made. This wasn't in someone's garage. But man, it's challenging. Man, it's challenging for a bunch of reasons. So if you need a palate cleanser for today, you haven't seen it yet, you can go ahead and go to my Twitter account at JB Brisco, no E. And you can look at this picture it's a tattoo of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. And it's just it's powerful. It is a powerful series of artistic choices that got someone to this level. I have tremendous respect for it. And also we have to be able to acknowledge that it's a little upsetting. I think that's only fair. Let's take a break. If you want to watch the show in a variety of places, you can do it on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. You can leave comments there. We'll take some comments throughout the night. If there's something Chiefs-wise where you're like, hey, Josh, what do you think about this thing? Tonight's going to be the night to do that because this whole night's going to just have a sort of weird funk energy around it. And so we'll talk about, Mike Dana at some point, but probably next, honestly. But if there's something that you're specifically interested in coming up to playoff time and everything, we could talk about playoff matchups, where the Chiefs are at this point and all of that. Leave a message in any of those places, or you can text the text line, 913-912-4810. Rudy's monitoring that. We can all see the comments. And so if you've got a question or an idea, we'll go in that direction. We'll talk to Harold Kuntz of Fox 4 at 9, Sterling Holmes of ESPN Kansas City, this very station, and Arrowhead Addict. He'll join us at 10. We'll talk about a bunch of stuff. It's fine. Just, if you're going to, and also, you know what, I'm willing to offer a free service. If you are thinking about getting specifically a Chiefs-related tattoo, you can reach out to me, you can DM me, you can tweet it to me, and I will give you some honest feedback before you get it. If you've gotten it tattooed on you and it's permanent, I am not going to tell you that you got a very bad tattoo, because there's nothing you can do about it at that point. But if you need a little bit of a, hey, Josh, review my tattoo, that's a segment that Review My Tattoo is a segment that I would be very happy to do at some point. Again, an audio medium may be imperfect for it, but it's what we're working with. Let's take a break.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page. When you want Chiefs, follow the leader. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
This is going to be a tougher road to the Super Bowl than the Chiefs had last year.
Their minds won't go far from it. That's just how this group's wired.
If you're looking for teams that would like to play
I think Cleveland and particularly Tennessee would be the top of the list.
Give me the Colts, because if the Chiefs win the Colts, that means the Bills are out.
Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Welcome to Elevated Automotive, Kansas City's most exciting new dealership. Infiniti of Kansas City has acquired Nissan to deliver Elevated Automotive, an impeccable experience featuring two smart and luxurious brands in one convenient location at I-35 and 67th Street. Continuing the five-star treatment and sales experience clients have come to expect from Infiniti of Kansas City. Visit Kansas City's premier automotive shopping and service experience in the expanded Infiniti of Kansas City showroom under their new name, Elevated Automotive. Follow online on Facebook, Insta, and elevatedautomotive.com.
Oh, ship! I need to get this package downtown by noon.
Don't worry! There's a brand new on-demand delivery service by Z-Trip. It's Z-Shipping.
Are you shipping me?
No, we're shipping your packages.
For the quickest, affordable, on-demand courier service, visit zshipping.com. zshipping.com. Let Z-Ship help you with your delivery needs. That's zshipping.com.
Hi, this is Bob Scott, store director from Henhouse Markets. We want to take a moment to thank all the 810 listeners who have supported us throughout the years. We look forward to continuing to support you and the communities we serve for years to come. From our Henhouse family to yours, thank you so much.
Hi, this is Philip Sternad, the general manager of the Hilton President Hotel. We just wanted to thank all the 810 listeners for their support throughout the year. It's been a tough year, but we're looking forward to a better 2021, and we can't wait to see you all down here in the Power and Light District and here at the Hilton President Hotel.
Get to Zarda Barbecue today and try my favorite sandwich, the Turkey Crunch. Only $5.99 for a limited time. Our turkey is deep fried, thin sliced, topped with melted provolone, 2 strips of bacon, house-made chipotle mayo on a toasted Roma bun. This sandwich literally melts in your mouth. And don't forget to stop by the Hy-Vee Kitchen every Friday for Red Friday Zarda Barbecue specials to feed your tailgate. Zarda Barbecue, come get some.
Oh, ship! I need to get this package downtown by noon.
Don't worry! There's a brand new on-demand delivery service by Z-Trip. It's Z-Shipping.
Are you shipping me?
No, we're shipping your packages.
For the quickest, affordable, on-demand courier service, visit zshipping.com. zshipping.com. Let Z-Ship help you with your delivery needs. That's zshipping.com.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
Steven.
Who said that?
Me, down here.
Ugh, what are you, a yellow booger?
I'm a banana slug, Steven.
With Joshua Brisco.
What are you doing in my room?
I'm your sense of adventure. It's been a long time since we've had an adventure in the forest.
Mom took me to the forest last year.
I'm a slug, Steven. It took me a long time to get here.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Beards, I appreciate you having the thematic music, but why did I spend 4 hours finding royalty-free music that wouldn't get us DMCA'd if the first show we have all that music, the first segment back, you play a very copyrighted tune from the Good Fallout Boys?
It's a good point. Because
I hadn't made a folder with all that yet.
I put it all in the system today. It's there. It's all in the system.
It's in the system.
I know.
Listen,
I want to make a folder.
Twitch. Listen, I don't know if I told you guys this.
I just hadn't made a hockey folder yet. That's all.
We got a.
I mean, you can still just type in AS01.
I could.
It doesn't have to be in a hockey folder to use.
As long as it just, I think if it keeps playing, I think that's good. In fact, you want to just turn it up and play it
I would.
only.
Yes,
No,
I think that's the
stop
key.
it. Unfortunately, it's not the hotkey, which is what Beards needs to break into. Will that have been in the podcast, Beards, or have you not changed those settings yet?
That won't be in the podcast.
Okay, so if you're a podcast listener, Beards just played "Sugar We're Going Down," which is what we play whenever something terrible is happening. So most segments. But yesterday, before our truncated show, this show's going to be self-involved for this segment, I can tell, and it's better than talking about anything else that's currently going on. Yesterday, I went through this gigantic royalty-free library that 810, has access to, and we use for commercials and stuff, because you can't, most people understand you can't use copyrighted music for things you're trying to put in other places and whatnot, because they're not getting, any of the money that, even though you're using their music as bump music for your podcast or whatever. So but the thing that kind of jump-started my thought of like, oh boy, we really need to probably try to solve that. We lost the music from our podcasts a while back because that was something we started focusing on more. But then recently, whenever we got the Twitch stream up, I think we may have all had this thought separately at one point, and then it all came together somewhere along the way.
Pretty much.
Like, oh yeah, Twitch is really, really very serious about DMCA's, which is something. I think the last two letters are Copyright Act. I can't remember what it stands for, but you cannot have copyrighted music anywhere within 100 yards of your Twitch channel.
It is the Digital Millennium Copyright Act.
There we go. That makes sense. And it's just, in a lot of ways, it's a really busted way of trying to have music labels treated fairly, which is a thing we should want. It's not a very good. It's never been implemented very, very well. It's always been kind of unwieldy and all of that. But so it sent me through this royalty-free music library, and so now if you're listening, really anywhere you're listening, the bit has been given away here. We're gonna start using royalty-free music, and some of it you'll hear and you won't even think about it. It's like, oh yeah, this works. But man, if you go through an entire royalty-free, I seriously for like 2 or 3 hours just listen to nothing but royalty-free music, trying to find. I think I ended up giving you guys like 23 or so. How many was it?
23.
Excellent. That's enough for, a good rotation, and there's some different types and everything that will be our upcoming bump music, and we can use it and stuff.
I've listened to none of it, by the way, so this is all going to be a surprise.
That's fine. There are different genres and stuff that I hope
I
separated.
I named them. Like, so they have the name of the song that technically is their name, but I don't know if
you did include
but then
that.
The artist says royalty-free hip-hop or royalty-free alt-rock. But one of them is like, I think Bloody Nose. And like, so like the title of the song is Bloody Nose.
Hey, do you want me to read through the names of these?
Well, so here's the thing, Beards. I think we can go one of two ways. I think we can either basically blow that entire bit right now, or for the next month, I can just say, "Hey, Beards, what's this song called?" Just save it for next segment, and the next segment you can play one of them, and then we can hear what it is as it's playing.
Okay.
A lot of it though is genuinely like it's all fine. It's because I also only pulled instrumentals. The place where it really tells, and it's very obvious that this is not as good as you would like for it to be, is most of the ones with vocals that pop in at some point, and it just sounds like someone is doing karaoke over a karaoke version of a Fall Out Boy song or whatever. It's hard to unhear that, but I think that we'll be in a pretty safe space for what we've gotten pulled together so far, because none of you had to hear the version that included the vocals. So I think we're going to be okay, and also this will keep any of us from being arrested for accidentally playing 14 seconds of Sugar We're Going Down on Twitch.
Josh, we would never get arrested. We are me and you are on board that this was all Beards' operation and that we will throw him under the bus. We're good.
That's fair. Yeah, I'm good with that. And also, the other advantage Beards has, no one knows his real name.
It's true.
So he's basically got the secret identity like just baked right into his whole bit. So that's a positive.
All he has to do is just come in with no beard one day, and all of a sudden it's just like the cops are walking around. Where's that Beard McFly? Well, I don't know. It's obviously not this guy. He doesn't have a beard.
That sounds like a fake name to me.
This guy doesn't have a beard, and also look at his feet. Why? Well, he's on the ground. He's not flying at all. Oh, yeah, good point. All right. Well, have a good one, Ossifer. Boom, you're clear to go.
Perfect crime.
I mean, most people you can like whatever shave your head, grow a beard, I guess, to hide your identity or whatever. Seriously, if Beards, I've seen pictures. Beards, when was the last time you didn't have a beard?
2011.
I mean, your beard is a decade old now.
December 2011.
Your beard is it's entering its 10th year.
Should be looking at third grade soon.
If you came into work one day with just clean shaven, I think I would try I would have to find some form of security to escort you out. Like I literally would probably ask Rudy, like, who's the new guy and why is he in Beards' chair?
I'd assume you were like one of Petro's interns.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I would see you sitting in Beards' chair and just expect you to say, hi, my name's Nathan. Like, what? Like that? Who is? I hate this person. I hate this beardless man stealing Beards' identity. This sucks. Anyway. Did you put the tattoo on the Facebook, on all the video streams, Beards?
I had it up during the break. Do you want me to put it back up?
Yeah, go ahead. Just make sure anyone who is watching on the stream gets a chance to see it now.
It's something.
Truly something.
It is something.
I don't remember how this segment got so completely... it was because of the music thing.
Because Beards is trying to get us all in trouble.
Oh, also, Markel Fultz tore his ACL, and that stinks.
Yeah.
So, pour one out for former intern, current Little Chiefs boy for Airhead Report, Tucker Franklin.
Yeah, which
who decided he's going to be a Magic fan.
Yeah, I was going to say, to be honest, I don't think you should pour one out for Tucker because, like...
That was his choice.
Yeah, he made a choice. Like, some of us pick the teams that we root for. Like, I'm a Nuggets fan in large part because it was like, hey, it's the only team that I can watch. You became a Suns fan, Josh, because, like, you spent time in Phoenix. Some of us were just kind of, like, born into fandoms. And my life as a Nuggets fan has been mostly good.
Beards just really likes being a Boston sports fan.
Yeah.
You just think they're a cool group of people.
I mean, Beards looks like he is from Boston, so I get it. Like, he doesn't have a choice, right? Like, I think he would just, like, you look at Beards, and if you didn't know he's from Kansas City, you'd be like, Boston. Like, yeah, no, that fits.
Definitely.
But some of us, we were born into our fanhoods. Tucker just chose. Like, think about how long we've had to suffer as Chiefs fans before Mahomes. And Tucker just decided, you know what, I want that. I want that.
No, that's not the problem, Rudy.
Yeah, I think Beards is going to take the angle that I would take on this one. Go ahead, Beards.
Out of 30 NBA teams,
right,
the one that he picked was the most boring, going along the course of mediocrity team that exists, the Orlando Magic.
So here's...
But that's like the vast majority of my life as a Chiefs fan. Like,
but let me...
No, the Chiefs have highs and lows. The Magic are a straight line.
Prior to Mahomes, it was a lot of just kind of mediocrity. Like, they were just kind of, there.
I think you guys have made his case for him, though.
Why?
Because
how is that making the case? Like, it's...
Because I think it's your guys' combined points here would be Tucker's case to make, which is if you had to pick a new team right now, just like quick, who would you pick, Rudy?
Oh, if I had to pick a new team?
Brand new team right now.
Oh, this is tough. Honestly, it'd probably be Phoenix. I'm a Devin Booker guy.
See, here's the thing. No, I've suffered. You can't have my suddenly good basketball team.
Yeah.
Beards, who'd you pick?
The Kings.
Why?
What?
Because I root for chaos, and they are the most chaotic, and also like they have some fun young pieces that could be good.
They're literally the Magic of the West.
But so
no.
Yeah. Yes, they get good players like the Magic. They get good players, and then those players leave. De'Aaron Fox is not going to be there forever. De'Aaron Fox will leave just like every good player Orlando's ever had to.
Also, the Kings have good jerseys, and that does matter when you're picking a new team.
That's fair. But I think
that's why Portland is my second favorite team. One of the reasons, at least.
Ooh, Portland would be up there.
But the reason, Portland
is.
Portland has a star though, and also good uniforms. With Tucker picking the Orlando Magic. Like, that wasn't even the best pick of a team that plays in Florida. But I think in picking kind of the most, like, boring middle-of-the-road team, that's one of the only ways you can arbitrarily end up on a team. Because if you're picking a good team, you're a front-runner. If you're picking a team that is, like, about to turn it around, you're still getting there kind of the end of the bandwagon.
You know what?
If you're picking a mediocre team that might have some... If you're picking in the Bulls or whatever, you missed the good stuff.
Okay, so here's the thing. I've just talked myself into the move that Tucker made because I did the same thing with soccer, like English Premier League soccer. I could have been a fan of anybody, and I chose Everton. The team that finishes 9th or 10th every year. Except
you can't
because like I didn't want to pick because like you said I did not want to pick one of the teams at the top, but I also wanted to pick a team. And now this is slightly different because the dynamics of English Premier League soccer is different than the NBA, where the money is just vastly different. Like in the NBA, there's a little bit of if you have a rich owner, you can spend a little more money, but there is a salary cap. It's like in theory, every team has a chance in the NBA, whereas in soccer there really is like 6 teams. But Everton is not crazy if they ever won it, and so I didn't want to pick somebody who like literally never had a shot. And so Everton is the Orlando Magic of like they're. And here's the thing, Everton's pretty good this year. Like we're competing for a top 4 spot in the Premier League this year.
See, that's it. You've got to pick a team before it gets good.
So yeah, I'm actually kind of with this.
If you're gonna, you could not be a Nets fan the first year they have a full year of Durant.
I get it.
You couldn't even be. I'm thinking like the Hawks would not be terrible, but they already have Trae Young. Maybe you could get in on a team that has like one solo star. Like
I think with the Hawks you would be getting in early enough. Yeah, I do think with the Hawks you would probably be getting in early enough and part of that is because it is now they've got some other like nice pieces, but it really is just Trae Young as far as like guys you feel like you can build around. Of course, I just assume one day Michael Porter Jr. is going to go play with Trae Young there or something, but that's a whole nother thing.
Well, it seems like you really have a lot you're kind of working through right now.
He's back tonight, by the way. I mean, they don't play till tomorrow, but he got cleared from COVID tonight.
What about his back today?
It's in good condition so far.
Oh, okay.
He's eating bacon, so that helps.
The Magic really are kind of a nondescript team, though. Like I feel like
they do, though. Weirdly, have just enough players who like people know, like Aaron Gordon, Markelle Fultz, Jonathan Isaac. Like these were all college stars. Like they're none of them I would say are NBA stars, but they're all like
I think?
They are all very well known players. I would say
he could have gotten away with Memphis.
Yes, that's the other team.
Yeah, Memphis would have been
or
a
Indiana.
really good one.
You could get away.
You don't want to be a Pacers fan. The Pacers are just kind of boring.
I think you could get away with Atlanta or Memphis if someone is looking, or the Pistons if you.
No,
the Pistons are much more.
Don't
magic,
do it
right?
to yourself.
Why I say I don't know why you want to hurt yourself like that.
No, it's not worth it.
I mean, I guess if you like old school basketball, Pistons is your team.
My hunch would have just been to pick whatever team Stan Van Gundy is coaching. I think that would have been very good. But the Pelicans are too good. I mean, I don't know if they're too good, but they have like a star. You got to show up the year before your team gets the #1 overall pick.
You want to hear a fun fact about the Pelicans?
Yeah, we have to take a break with
that.
No, we're just going to go to the end of the hour. We don't have time now.
Okay, you know who's the longest tenured Pelican?
I bet it's Zion Williamson.
It is Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson has been a Pelican longer than any other Pelican. Because
is
they have
that like an anamorph situation?
It's because they have all new.
If you're a Pelican for too long, you're always a Pelican.
Basically, it's because they have all new players, and the guys who were on the team last year are all draft picks, and he was obviously drafted before them.
What's happening with the Suns and the
Raptors
right now?
You want to hear a Luka stat then, real fast? So Luka,
hold on.
I assume the Raptors are beating the Suns. Okay, so Luka.
No, it's just Luka stats.
Yeah, last night he led the Mavs in points, rebounds, and assists, which was the 39th time in his career he has led the team in points, rebounds, and assists in a game. He is now the Mavericks' all-time. He has had more of those games in Mavericks history than any player. Dirk Nowitzki had done it 38 times. And now Luka's done it 39 times. He was pretty good.
This hurts me so much because I could have this sort of wealth in two sports, but he's got some Mahomes stats on the way. Luka is going to be an unstoppably safe trivia answer in like 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
To look, I don't know, this crazy stat with being able to do everything. It's going to be Luka, and then they're basically those same stat questions. But if you give all of that and say and never won a championship, then that stat's going to be Nikola Jokic, and
it hurts.
Those two guys.
But it's true. It's probably true.
It feels
it hurts, but it's probably true. Well, I guess I don't want to say he'll never, because here's the thing, I love the Nuggets. I love Jokic. He's gonna play for somebody else at some point. Shit's gonna happen. So maybe he goes. Maybe he goes to he decides. You know what? I won a championship. I'm gonna go play with LeBron and Bronny Jr. And we're gonna go win one.
So you've accepted that he's gonna win a ring.
Just not with the Nuggets. Yeah, probably. Yeah, you never know. Maybe he stays in Denver and just never wins a ring. But my guess is he leaves and wins a ring at some point.
Beard has been kind of out of the segment for a little bit, so I'll just say, I mean, he's got as good a chance of winning a championship as the Celtics at this point. They just need 10 more first-round draft picks to flip into good players, and they're going to be back, baby.
Hey, listen, Jalen and Jason Tatum, they are two of the top 4 scorers in the NBA by points this year. Total points.
By points?
I remember at one point there was the question of who would you rather have around in your NBA franchise, Brad Stevens or any player? And at this point, I don't even know if he's one of the top 10 coaches I would take.
Mike Malone.
Are they ever going to win again, Beards?
Mike Malone, baby.
Let's take a break. Harold Kuntz of Fox4 will join us next.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB. At JB Brisco. At Beards McFly. At Not That Rudy. At Sports Radio 810. Just do it already.
At Central Bank of the Midwest, we are focused on building strong communities across Kansas City. I'm Bill Ferguson, President and CEO. Our strong roots began more than 100 years ago in the heart of the Midwest and continue today across 5 states and 67 communities. Central Bank of the Midwest brings you the best of both worlds, a strong community bank with the resources and technology to deliver a legendary banking experience. Central Bank of the Midwest, strong roots, endless possibilities. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It's Mr. Truck KC, Tim Grunny Grunhard. Everybody knows I love trucks. Right now I'm helping my friends at Roberts Robinson by personally delivering a vehicle every month to one lucky customer. Buy from Roberts Robinson and you can get me, Grunny, to deliver a vehicle to your house with a surprise gift. There's a reason why customers say, just make it easy. Check out the Shop Click Drive to shop online. It's easy. 1, select that vehicle. 2, create your deal. 3, schedule your delivery. Boom, it's there. The Certified Service Department is open for appointments and offering first responder discounts for firefighters, police, EMTs, 911 dispatchers, and healthcare professionals. Roberts Robinson wants to buy your used car. If you're looking to trade in that used car, let us give you top dollar trade-in value. So Mr. Truck says, come see why they make it easy. Call 816-630-3151 or go online at robertsrobinson.com. Chevrolet, find new roads.
This is your moment to take the path less traveled, to break the status quo, to stop talking about the problem and be the solution. This is your moment to shape the future. This is your moment to be the greater good. Join America.
Sponsored by the Missouri Community Service Commission and the Corporation for National and Community Service.
If you don't have a MyPillow or know someone who doesn't, now is the time, because for a limited time, Mike is offering his My Premium pillows, yes, the one that started it all, for his lowest price ever. You can get a queen-size premium MyPillow, regularly $69.98, for only $29.98. That's a $40 savings, and kings are only $5 more. Folks, now's the time to buy. Not only are you getting the lowest price ever, but they're the best Christmas gifts. $29.98 for a queen-size premium MyPillow? Buy now, and Mike will extend his 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st of 2021. Go to MyPillow.com and click on the Radio Listener Square. There you'll find not only this amazing offer, but also deep discounts on all MyPillow products, including the Giza Dream bed sheets, the MyPillow mattress topper, and MyPillow towel sets. Call 800-544-8939 or visit MyPillow.com and use the promo code NORM22.
The expanded NFL playoffs are here. While the Chiefs rest up for round 2, sit back and enjoy exclusive live coverage of all 6 NFL playoff matchups this weekend on Sports Radio 810 and ESPN Kansas City. 3 games Saturday, 3 games Sunday to kick off the NFL playoffs. Right here on your home for Super Bowl 55, Sports Radio 810. WHB, presented by CBD American Shaman, Complete Home Concepts, and Victory Ford.
At Central Bank of the Midwest, we are focused on building strong communities across Kansas City. I'm Bill Ferguson, President and CEO. Our strong roots began more than 100 years ago in the heart of the Midwest and continue today across 5 states and 67 communities. Central Bank of the Midwest brings you the best of both worlds. A strong community bank with the resources and technology to deliver a legendary banking experience. Central Bank of the Midwest, strong roots, endless possibilities. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
WHB Kansas City.
This is SportsCenter.
Hello there, I'm Mark Robbins. The NBA continued with its schedule tonight. Several signs of unity and protest shown before these games began. One on ESPN right now, late in the fourth quarter in Miami, and the Celtics in an Eastern Conference Finals rematch, leading Miami by 10, 105-95 with 1:17 to go. Again, that's on ESPN television and the app. Coming up afterward at 10 p.m. Eastern, right now in just a few minutes, it's the Warriors hosting the Clippers. That'll be in Oakland. Yes, the 11 games around the league that were scheduled today are being played. As I mentioned, several teams showing signs of unity and protest, taking knees during the national anthem and whatnot. The Wizards, who lost in Philadelphia tonight, certainly upset before the game. Wizards head coach Scotty Brooks.
You just hope that everybody from there and fans, everybody's safe. This should not be allowed. It's unacceptable. It's America's capital. Should not be able to do what I saw on video. It's disgusting. It's embarrassing, and should never happen.
In college basketball tonight, Tennessee ranked 9th, holding off Arkansas 79-74. Louisville defeats number 19 Virginia Tech 73-71. Right now, Baylor hosting Oklahoma. That is on ESPN2. Head coach Kevin Stefanski will miss the Browns playoff game, of course, testing positive for COVID-19 a couple days ago.
Thursday, we're looking ahead to the Super Wild Card weekend with Howie Long giving you his predictions for the biggest games and how the Cleveland Browns have any chance to win on Sunday night. All that and more with me, Greeny, starting 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN+.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Cleveland State has a coach named Dickie Nutt. And I'll now move on to another topic.
On Sports Radio 810, WHB.
I just saw a tweet from @Jillboard on Twitter. Wanna feel old? It's still today. That really tickled me. It's been a long day. There's been a lot going on. It's almost all been bad. You can hear one of our sweet new royalty-free music beds. This one's fine, right? This one's passable.
This one is called Blokes.
I don't remember any of the titles as I was downloading them, but I'm glad to always have this little Easter egg. Also glad not to have to do this segment alone, and by alone I mean with just Beards and Rudy, because Harold Kuntz of Fox4 joins us now. Harold, listen, the number of times that we have talked on I think now 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 times that you've been on this show, it's been in the middle of some form of national unrest. I texted you on Monday, I think, and said, hey, can you do a day this week? This one is not my fault.
You know, I'm already starting off laughing about it just because it's like, here we are. And you know, we turned the page, and we turned the page back. Here we are. Yep. So, you know, I'll just say this, and I'll get it out of the way. Let's just clear the air. I'll just say this, and I'll use an almost entirely sports analogy.
Excellent.
When you lose a game, what do you usually do pre-COVID? What do you usually do?
Go shake
hands.
Go
to your opponent, you shake their hand, and then we move on. This is not this. This is you don't go. You might go to the press conference and be like, I didn't agree with a call here, or I didn't agree with a call there. He should have been in the right place. She should have been in the right place. You can do that, but you got a game on Wednesday, or you got a game on Friday, or you got a game next week, and you just move on. You shake hands, but you don't sit there 2 months later and be like, boy, I really wish we won that game in week 1. No one ever says that. And but you know, like You know, you got a lot of people that look up to somebody who does. And respectfully, I would ask them to all, you know, shake hands and move on. So we can talk about Mike Dana being on the reserve COVID-19 list.
Does it ever? I'm sure the answer to this is at least in some part yes. So I guess I'll change the question from "do you ever" to "how often do you get hit by just a tsunami wave of realizing just sort of how fundamentally stupid our jobs can be just because like we're gonna talk about Mike Dana hitting the COVID list, and it's so small in the grand scheme of things. I'm unendingly grateful for it. Not just as a job, but as a thing that can exist as a job, and to be able to talk to people this way and all that stuff. But occasionally, I just can't help but be sort of taken aback by how silly it can seem.
Josh, Mike Dana being on the reserve COVID-19 list, and this is with all due respect to somebody who's having a heck of a rookie campaign out of Michigan.
Sure. Yeah.
Heck of a campaign. Talking about this right now is like talking about who's going to survive the cut line in the fourth quarter of a fourth preseason game for the New York Jets. That's literally it. That's where we are at the totem pole right now.
Yeah.
You know how much I love the New York Jets. So that's where we are right now. That's exactly. I was at work today over at the old Fox4, and at about 5:48, the show was in, everything was done, and I just like. We're shooting promotions for, Super Bowl coverage and everything. And I'm just sitting here like, you know what? I turned to my colleague, Rob Collins, was like, can I go home? And he was like, yeah, sure. Like, yeah, I'm out. We're done here. Like, you can't press reset on present day, but gosh, do you wish you could sometimes. So
yeah. I think it's interesting. I think, at least to some extent, people listening that are big fans of sports radio, sports television, sports coverage and everything, there is sort of a meta intrigue in it. At least there always has been for me, but maybe that's why I ended up doing it. I don't know. But I just am always kind of interested in how people in the business do sort of balance that. Like, and so for you, I'm obviously now curious just in sort of what – I don't know how you handle a work day where it's not something that you should be doing anything about, right? Like, it's not like you have some role to play in what's going on today. I can't do anything really within sort of the chaos going on in the District of Columbia today. But it's also when put side by side by what we do talk about, do you go back frequently to thinking about how you provide something for people that brings joy in? Does it feel small? Does it feel bigger in times like this? We've kind of kicked around that for the first 20 minutes of the show today because we've had so many opportunities to think that way in this last year.
Oh, for sure. I mean, your first and foremost job is just to be professional about anything. Anybody from your parents to your superiors will tell you that. Just be professional. Try to be factual. Give people any type of information that is of service to them. But, in our opportunity, my slogan is always at 6:23, look out for me, because, our sports is usually around 6:23, and 3 and me rhymes, as you've probably figured out with any type of educational skills. But but it's for the kids, because Kuntz loves the kids. And, and again, you just, look, you have time to shine. Hey, Kansas won a basketball game. Hey, Mizzou and Kansas State are improving. Hey, the Chiefs, joy. Hope springs eternal when you talk about the Royals in the spring and everything. It's like there's nothing hope. There's nothing. Well, there's always hope, but there's nothing hope that springs out to you, and none of this has been eternal. It hasn't been the same. Like, we spent a whole year, telling you about, hey, there's this and hey, there's that. We didn't really get down to the fundamental basics of, like, hey, why don't we just be happy we're playing football? Mm-hmm. Darn the result. Let's just be happy we're out there talking about football in the middle of a nationwide pandemic. let's just be happy that, you drove to work and you drove home later that night. Let's just be happy about little things. And we're at a point where we just need to be happy about little things. We'll get back to the big things. Let's just be happy about little things. Right now, we can't even be happy about little things. Because look, everybody, and I will say this and take it for what it's worth. But we had all those racial protests and people were looting targets. It's like, and everybody's getting arrested right before. But then you see today, it's like there's a difference between looting a target and looting the United States Capitol building. Mm-hmm. There's a big difference. Mm-hmm. One's like okay, you guys are idiots. The other one's like, okay, there's a real problem.
Yeah.
and there's little problems. Now we're all going to move along our amicable days. I think they're voting right now. They've got me watching C-SPAN 2 right now. That's where we are. That's where we are at right now.
What's on C-SPAN 1 right now? What got bumped?
Well, C-SPAN 1's got the House, and C-SPAN 2's got the Senate right now.
Oh,
I don't know why they're not reversed. Who knows? It kind of reminds me, like, okay, which one's like the true TV of all this when you're at March Madness, like watching like who's got the 8th Circuit Senate in Wisconsin that nobody cares about? That's the true TV game. Is this one like the 9 seed Arizona State, Texas special identifier night in Texas State? You're like, okay, cool. All right. But coming up on True TV, it's Little Rock, Boise State. All right, I'm in.
Followed by Impractical Jokers for 10 days.
Followed by Impractical Jokers. Some movie you haven't seen in 12 years. All right, back to you. That's
so good.
Yeah, that's just kind of how it is. We're there, and we'll get out of this. We're going to get out of this. But there's certain things we're not going to get out of. I mean, bigger picture things we don't ever get out of. Just because 2020 became 2021 didn't mean that we still have the same problems we had in 2020. Those are still alive and quite well, and we'll be dealing with those probably in the 2041 or 2061. Who knows? So, we just kind of make sure you're okay. Make sure you get to work safely and back home safely. Your loved ones are safe. Your faith is strong. All the stuff that you need to do that reasonably function as a human being in this society.
Yeah. That feels like a good little just sort of thing that everybody could take it, put it in your pocket, and just have that with you a little whenever you need to kind of be reminded. Take Harold's advice. I think that's very good. And I'm going to, I guess, sort of make a slight sort of ham-fisted pivot over, because you talk about just get to work and back safely, and we have sort of in jest mentioned Mike Dana going to the reserve list. Field Yates reported it wasn't a positive test. He was a close contact and all that. But one of the things we've seen around sports at this point, especially on the NFL, you look at the Browns right now more than anything.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to have their first playoff game in a billion years without their head coach and a couple of players, one of them a real key on their offensive line. So whenever you look at just sort of how every single blip on the radar feels like it's been exploded and magnified times a billion, because now, if Patrick Mahomes would have been on the COVID list for a game midseason, it would have been an enormous story, and it would have cost them a tremendous amount in that game and all that stuff. But now, if it's Chris Jones or Frank Clark, or certainly it's Patrick Mahomes or Andy Reid, any little trip up is 10 times, maybe infinitely more important than it would have been several weeks ago. And so Mike Dana goes to the reserve list. The Chiefs had a strength and conditioning coach test positive, and it just feels like everything is even more on kind of a high wire at this point. The safety net is gone from below it. What have you seen and heard so far in terms of how the Chiefs are going to have to try to manage that in these weeks to come?
Well, for one, you go back to what Andy said at the beginning of all this, when they knew they were clinching a playoff spot. I was like, look, go home, stay away from any human contact. And I feel that these guys are mature enough to do that, because they've been saying run it back all year. They know what's on the line. They have enough veterans to try to tell the people that are mid-level, it's all the way down to the rookies, to the last guy on the practice squad, hey, be safe, do the right thing. and so they avoid a situation like what the Browns are going through right now. And I'm sure it's going to be, stir crazy a little bit. I mean, Patrick Mahomes has even admitted to the fact that, he's been at times sleeping in a different bed than his own fiance, and, she's dealing with a child being brought into this world, and there's a lot of sacrifices there. I mean, you can even see little things over Twitter, like a tweet here or there, where like they're retweeting or liking someone that is clearly saying their frustrations. They just don't want to say it out loud. And there's so much sacrifice going on. I mean, Anthony Hitchens is a guy that is he's back. He tweeted today that he's back, which is great. And I mean, the funny part is you're thinking about great from a perspective of like, oh, good, we got a linebacker back, instead of, hey, I'm glad he's all right. Like like when Cole Hardman went through it, he learned his lesson. He was going through some things, and he said he had no symptoms, but the fact that it's just, that at a crucial point in this season, it could be Friday, and all of a sudden Saturday, you're showing up with 4 or 5 different people that aren't there. That throws off everything.
Yeah.
And you have to be very careful. Now, could they have tried the whole bubble operation? Cool, sure, they could have. The NFL's kind of made it clear from the jump that this is the way they're going to operate. This is their mode operandi, if you will, and they're going to go where they need to go with it. But they just have to, and they have to be that way. I mean, they're going to stay at home. Those leaders will stay at home. I'm sure they got group text or whatever to make sure everybody's staying at home, staying safe, not going anywhere, not commenting on anything, not trying to go stir crazy. They'll condition tomorrow, and they'll condition Friday, I believe. But the conditioning thing, just to make sure they got things in order. I mean, who I feel the worst for is the people that are the tape guys. They got to watch 4 opponents because they have no idea who they're going to face. They could figure out who they're going to face if the Colts beat the Bills, and they'll know by 3:30 on Saturday afternoon, or they won't know till whenever Pittsburgh-Cleveland is on Sunday night. And they could be playing Saturday, which is like zero advantage to anybody because they have pretty much the same amount of time for preparation. So it's an interesting situation, man. It's an interesting situation. But the main thing is these guys know they got to stay home. They can't mess this up. I mean, the Super Bowl, there's already talks of them not even going down to Tampa until Thursday, maybe even Friday. And, it's usually a week-long festive celebration. There's been, I've heard that it could be Thursday, it could be Friday when they head down, which would be literally like any other regular game. That will impact everybody's coverage around here, to be honest, because there's not going to be the grandiose scale of, everybody wide open in a convention-style arena. You get all these interviews with everybody, and that's just not going to be the case this year. This case is just late. Let's just get this football game going. Let's make sure we got 53 that are healthy, and let's play ball.
Do any of those potential matchups do anything for you more than the other ones? I mean, I feel like we've already kind of beaten this conversation to the ground halfway through this week. But as you said, I mean, if the Colts beat the Bills, they'll know who they're playing as of 3:00 Saturday. But if the Bills win that game, they won't know until the very end of the weekend. But I don't really, if you want to pick between what you think is the best or worst matchup for the Chiefs, that's fine. I'm curious mostly, though, if any of those sound more fun to you than any of the other ones, knowing that they could play the Colts, Ravens, Titans, or Browns in the divisional round.
I mean, if I had to pick fun, I'd probably pick the Ravens. They just seem like the team that's kind of playing the best out before right now. Titans are kind of – the Titans can beat a team like Baltimore, but they can also get blown out by a team like Green Bay, a quality team. They can go down to the wire against Houston. The Colts have Phillip Rivers, so there's a lot of familiarity there, but they do have a tough defense. So that would be interesting for, a little bit. But I think the Chiefs' biggest opponent is themselves, really. Yeah. Fighting the 20-day layoff and just getting out there and making sure offense executes at a high level. They do that, they're hard to beat. But again, it's the playoffs, and everybody's discussed so much about how they just win games by 3 or 6 or anything but one possession, 7 straight games. Honestly, it's the playoffs. You win by 1, you advance. So who cares? You win. This isn't college where you have to win 70-7 to prove the pollsters so you can get in the college football playoff.
Right.
They're in. It's win by 1. And but they do also need to execute at a higher level. I do sense that sometimes their offensive, maybe the scripted plays they have aren't necessarily the best thing going in, shall we say, because they haven't gotten off to that explosive start that you think they would be able to get off to. But their in-game adjustments are good, and we know that Patrick Mahomes in-game in-play adjustments are very good, and that's what you need. I mean, you're going to have some special moments from Mahomes, just like you did last year when he had that run against Tennessee or jet chip loss to Tyreek Hill. You're going to have some moments from Travis Kelce. You have moments from Tyreek Hill. You might even have a DeMarcus or Sammy moment. You might have a defensive moment. There's going to be a moment there where they just make plays. And this team's ability to make plays when it matters most is huge. I mean, the only team I would imagine in all 14 teams, AFC and NFC, to have the capability of really saying to themselves, oh, we could get into a shootout and possibly win this is Green Bay. That's the only team I believe that had that any advantageous wit about them to go out there and be like, okay, we can win 44-40 against these guys. But that's it. I mean, if the Chiefs can win, the market for champions is if you can win 35-34, you can win 7-6. And they somehow or another find a way to win those games, and that's their biggest quality, and that's their most positive trait going forward.
I found that part of the conversation so interesting over the last several weeks for like 5 reasons. I think you mentioned like 4 of them there, where, being able to win games by, literally going back to the list here, 2 points, 4 points, 3 points, 6 points, 6 points, 3 points, and then 3 points again. I did some quick math. I think I got all those right. That's an incredible run. But in a lot of instances throughout the league in recent years, if you see a stretch like that, and I don't tell you who the team is, you would look at all those close games, and the stats would back this up to say, well, typically that is that is luck factoring in with a team that's good. If you're winning 6 games in a row, period, that's a good stretch, or 7, whatever it was in that stretch. But if you are winning a bunch of close games, you're probably getting some good breaks later in the game. There's also, though, what you kind of mentioned there, that the argument that, well, is that an accident that they've been able to do that? The other thing, though, is that if you go back through basically the Panthers game through the Saints game and not as much for the Falcons, they were in pretty relative control throughout those games. They weren't as contentious as the final score looked. The Falcons game was every bit of 14-17, because if that pass gets picked off in the end zone, the Chiefs probably lose that game and have to play the Chargers the next week. But those other games were not that kind of, just there on a razor's edge. They felt like they were in pretty good control really till the end of those.
Yeah, absolutely. I fully agree, and I also agree with the Falcons when A.J. Terrell doesn't come down with that interception, which he just dropped. He straight up dropped. He made a great play on the ball, and he just dropped it. Tyreek Hill doesn't chase down the linebacker's name has escaped me for Atlanta, but if he doesn't chase him down, make that play, then they prevent an offensive possession there. So but it still kind of makes. Every team doesn't win. No team in the NFL has not won without having some play happen for them. Just little luck involved. I mean, it's just like, there's just always been a little bit of luck involved, even if it's the other team giving you that luck. There's just always been a little bitty, like, oh, wow, that play you remember during a postseason run, during a regular season that, like last year, let's not forget. They were looking at 3 seeds until, Ryan Fitzmagic happened in Foxborough with Miami. You remember those little things. Yeah. And then you remember that Houston, Bill O'Brien, up, countless to nothing, decides not to go for a 4th down and really put the nail in the coffin. And next thing, if that game's 31-0, then we're not talking about run it back. We're talking about, well, hopefully they can get back. You're right. There's always little things that happen that you tend to forget throughout the course of a season that make you think to yourself, oh, okay, they're lucky to be in this position. Now, the Chiefs aren't lucky because, as you alluded to, they've been mostly in control of those games with the exception of the Atlanta game. But, I mean, look, anytime if you're an opposing team, like let's say the Raiders were, when there's a minute and a half left and Patrick Mahomes is running on the field and he knows he needs a touchdown. It's like there's a certain fear level with the playoff pressure and intensity that just ratchets way up a notch. and you know that he's had 2 postseasons where the only loss he's had is in overtime, where he didn't even get a chance to have the ball against possibly the greatest quarterback that ever played a game at this moment. So that's your record. He didn't play a good game in the Super Bowl against the 49ers because they had a great defensive line, but who's got a great defensive line that you see going forward, especially in the AFC? Like, who's got a defensive line that says to yourself, oh, that's a scary defensive line?
Yeah.
None. I mean,
yeah. No, I don't think there is one. Yeah.
So, none. So not in the AFC at least. Like they played the Saints. The Saints knocked them around. The Chargers knocked Mahomes around, and I'd say the Falcons. Grady was in there. He was in the back for the line. So, yeah, just again, you want everything to be healthy. It's unfortunate that it doesn't look like Mitchell Schwartz could really be part of these plans. Maybe, who knows, a couple weeks later, who knows? But I've seen nothing or really heard anything or, that leads me to believe that he's going to be out there anytime soon. So you go with what you got, and you hope they're healthy. And, the offensive line is going to be key. But, again, I don't see a big threat defensive unless they play the Colts. I'll give that. Yeah. The Colts, that's a solid defense. That is a solid defense. But I feel confident the Chiefs could still outpoint them, if you will. So it's an interesting situation. But, again, I go back to the last time you said something. Their biggest opponent is themselves.
Yeah.
Until they get to the Super Bowl. Their biggest opponent is themselves.
One other thing that's, Chiefs adjacent, but obviously isn't going to impact this year, theoretically at least. Eric Bieniemy is interviewed with all of the vacant head coach job positions except for the Houston Texans, which at one point I thought, they wanted to get their GM in place first. Now they have, and I don't know how you could possibly have Deshaun Watson playing quarterback for you and not think, maybe should we call Eric Bieniemy? Should we ask Eric Bieniemy to interview with us? What did you think about again, as of right now, still the Texans haven't been interested, but everybody else has been?
Well, ownership.
Yeah.
That's all you got to look at. This thing is all about ownership. Ownership thinks of, because when you think of, unless you're the Dallas Cowboys, when you think of most professional football teams, who's the first person you're going to think of? It's not the owner, it's the head coach. Mm-hmm. You're usually the face of the franchise. And I would honestly believe that, and I mean, again, take this for what you will, but there's been a huge lack of what I think are serious minority interviews. Mm-hmm. There's not been a lack of interviews for minority candidates, but there's been a huge lack of serious minority interviews. Like, all right, let me really sit down with you, let me learn you as a person, let me realize, oh, you're pretty darn good at this. Mm-hmm. Eric Bieniemy's 2 times as qualified as most of the people he's been up against, maybe even more. I know he's certainly more qualified than some like Cliff Kingsbury. Because Cliff Kingsbury's only qualification was, I told Patrick Mahomes to throw the ball in college, and we went 7-6 and lost in the Texas Bowl to LSU. Yeah. That's his qualification.
I went about 500 with Patrick Mahomes in college. Please hire me.
Yeah. It's like my qualification is, you see that shootout game we had with Baker Mayfield and all those guys? Yeah, that was great. That's his qualification. Joe Judge's qualification was he did special teams with Bill O'Brien. That's awesome. Now, granted, I think Joe Judge, without Saquon Barkley, to finish 6-10 and have that team kind of confident playing under him, kind of surprised me a little bit. But again, Eric Bieniemy is now a Super Bowl winning championship coach. He did not need to be a Super Bowl winning championship coach to still have twice the resume that most of these other people had. Mm-hmm. He is a known leader of men. And when I heard Andy Reid talk about Eric Bieniemy, he made it pretty clear that it's like, hey, look, I'm already planning for next year without him.
Yeah.
So if he's here again, this is your fault. This is your fault. Like, that's it. Like, no mas. But I mean, you look forward to the Chiefs. I mean, like, gosh, they're starting to. The Panthers are interviewing Brant Tillis and some of the other people on the Brett Veach's staff. You've got Eric Bieniemy with interviews. You assume Mike Katz is going to get interviews. Let's not underestimate the fact that some of these other guys under them, like a Brendan Daly or somebody else, could get elevated to D coordinator somewhere if they're interested. There's going to be a lot of turning, there's going to be some sort of semblance of turning with the leaf, if you will, with the coaching staff. And, you know, when you see that, a lot of times that takes teams time to adjust to. So, you know, that's the biggest fear I have going forward. But look, it's ownership with Houston. Let's just be honest. It's just ownership of Houston. And Arthur Blank's a good owner, and I feel like the Lions ownership group, you know, they kind of twisted around a little bit because of deaths and the Ford family and everything. But, you know, there's people who are starting to do things the right way, but they just – Jim Trotter from the NFL Network, a writer, former pro football writers, president of all people, you know, he said something to me that really caught my eye, and you know, basically asked him, like, well, do you think they're finally going to take it serious now that they've really reinforced the Rudy rule? He just said no, like, this immediately before they even finished the sentence, because he's concerned about a lack of, you know, good quality, important, very well taken serious interviews. And, you know, you don't want to see a guy like Eric Bieniemy treated this way, because he deserves a lot better than, you know, whatever franchise is trying to just interview him just to interview him. If you're not interested, just don't play the game. If you're not interested, don't play the game. You know, I know there's a rule that says, hey, you got to interview so many candidates. By the way, it's pathetic that it's even instituted in the first damn place, but that's another story for another day. But you just have to know that when growing up as a kid, and a lot of other people that I know, especially black people, heard this over and over and over from their own parents. You have to be twice as qualified sometimes, many times, than one of your peers, especially your white peers, in order to get a job that you know you could do. You know, you have to be twice as qualified to be that assistant manager at a gas station. You still work under a dumb butt. That's the manager at a gas station. You see what I'm saying? Yes. And you know, you're told this. I'm sure he's been told it. He's been very good about not really saying much and everything, but I know he's upset. You know, deep down inside, I know he's upset because he's a competitor. This is what competitors do. You know, like there's only 32 positions to be a head coach in the National Football League. There's obviously competition to be one of those jobs. You work very, very hard to get one of those jobs. You so desire to get one of those jobs. And that's what he's going for. And if he does that, I'm sure that team will be very happy with who they have. And I'm sure the players will be very happy with who they have. So, you know, we're beyond, hey, take a chance. Yeah. This is like, hey, as Andy Reid said, you know, like, basically like, you don't do this, shame on you. Shame on you. You know, like, I'm planning for next year without him. So shame on you if you don't get him. And, you know, see the light, something. It's just because, you know, that's a problem, Reed. That's a problem. It doesn't sit well with me that we were going through this. But it doesn't sit well with a lot of people. It probably doesn't sit well with him. And, you know, he's going to get that opportunity, but just make sure it's a good opportunity that's right. Get into a good situation and make sure ownership likes you. Doesn't like the name or the resume. Make sure they like you, the person, and they're okay with you, the person. Then everybody can move on amicably.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that Andy Reid talked about. We played one of those. We played both of those clips on the show yesterday. If anybody missed it, you can hear it in the podcast. Where that part of it was something I hadn't really thought about. That Andy Reid kind of dug into a little more. That relationship there between the ownership and that head coach, that does dictate so much. Not that you have to be the world's best friends or whatever, but there has to be some mutual trust in there. And for that to be the thing that gets in the way in Houston, and then also looking around and seeing I think it's either 30 or 31 NFL owners are white, or like 29 are white men. There's some, I don't have the stat off the top of my head, obviously. But
well, you're not far off.
I'm definitely not far off. I know I'm in the neighborhood, yeah. but that coming into play there and specifically reflecting on Houston, I honestly hadn't thought about that as being where it goes back to from Houston, even though that Reid sort of laid that plan out whenever he talked to the media on Monday.
No, it's absolutely ownership. I mean, look at all the jobs that are available. I mean, look at the Chargers. I mean, you know, Spanos is running that, and he basically stole a franchise from San Diego to put it in L.A. because it's a new stadium. Now, he got what he wanted. That's great and all, but, they clearly have the talent there, but for some reason or another, they're piecing together. That's culture. Like we talk about the Chiefs winning close games. The Chargers don't win close games. That's culture. Eventually you figure out how to win close games. Atlanta is a prime example of teams that just can't win close games. They can't hold on to big leads in Super Bowls. Like they just, it's culture. And I think Arthur Blank's a great owner, but there's just certain levels of ownership you have to have. I like to call it the holy triangle of football: of president, general manager, head coach, and then obviously when it comes to field things, general manager, head coach, quarterback. That's your trinity, man. That you have to have that intact. Like now, some people have it intact, and it just doesn't work out the way they want it to, or it just hasn't gone the way they wanted it to going forward. And, you have to make changes or what have you. But the best teams and the best organizations are the ones that have, all right, we got a good head coach, we've got a general manager that cares, we've got a staff under him that cares, and we have a quarterback. And when you have that, that's good. And Eric Bieniemy has seen the culture, and Doug Peterson saw that culture, and he won the Super Bowl. Matt Nagy saw that culture, and as much as we like to bag on the Bears, Mitch Trubisky was pretty darn good his rookie year. And they did make the playoffs this year. It's on his resume. So, we bag on that, and so what's stopping you? What's stopping you? So, hire the man. I'll forever be grateful that he said I was wearing a tuxedo on air and was looking for projects. But hire that man. Hire.
Harold, you're not only great to talk to about all sorts of things, also, as has been pointed out now by people way more famous and powerful than I am, extremely well-dressed, especially to close out every year. Thank you, Harold, as always. We'll talk to you again soon during whatever ends up being the next major societal event going on in this country. We'll talk to you whatever that night is next.
I know if you text me 2 or 3 days before, I'm like, well, let's alert everybody. Let's get on standby here.
What are you doing inauguration night? I have a feeling that could be kind of messy. You want to just plan on 9 o'clock?
No.
That's probably fair. Yeah, that's fair. We will not talk to you then. I'm going to find a nice, boring Tuesday. We're going to figure it out. Thank you, Harold.
Yeah. All right, man.
Harold Kuntz of Fox4. You can follow him on Twitter at HaroldRKuntz3. Watch him on Fox4. Follow him there. I genuinely love talking to Harold about literally anything and usually everything. We need to take a break. We're way overdue, but I'm not apologizing because talking to Harold's good. But we'll come back. I want to talk about 2 different things that he brought up in a little more detail, and I don't know, dig back into some of that stuff, and we'll probably get distracted by whatever the name of the royalty-free bump music will be, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Did you know you can listen to Almost Entirely Sports anywhere, anytime? Well, you can. Just search for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
Spectrum Brands, the leading supplier of hardware and home improvement, is looking for workers at their local warehouse in Edgerton, Kansas, right off I-35. You'll receive day 1 benefits, 12 paid holidays, and become part of a culture that we love, made up of the right people, a diverse group of people with varied backgrounds. Spectrum Brands is hiring for warehouse workers $16 per hour and equipment operators $17 per hour. Must have 6 months recent reach truck or order picker experience to be an equipment operator. Apply today at spectrumbrands.com/careers. That's spectrumbrands.com/careers. Turn your job into a career with Spectrum Brands.
The expanded NFL playoffs are here. While the Chiefs rest up for round 2, sit back and enjoy exclusive live coverage of all 6 NFL playoff matchups this weekend on Sports Radio 810 and ESPN Kansas City. 3 games Saturday, 3 games Sunday to kick off the NFL playoffs. Right here on your home for Super Bowl 55, Sports Radio 810. WHB, presented by CBD American Shaman, Complete Home Concepts, and Victory Ford.
You got through 2020 together, so what are you waiting for? Propose with a stunning engagement ring from Shane Company. With our huge selection of ring settings and loose stones, countless combinations and possibilities, at Shane Company you can truly create a one-of-a-kind ring that will reflect her personal style. When you're finished, her ring will look like no other. Her friends will say, "It's so her." First, Select a ring setting from hundreds of unique styles. Then pick a center stone. Choose a natural, diamond, ruby, or a sapphire in over a dozen colors. We have the largest selection of stone shapes and sizes. Finally, add your own touch, like a decorative crown or a special engraving. Visit our store or book an in-store or virtual appointment. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
Hi, this is Mr. Truck KC. Tim Grunnout here from Roberts Robinson Chevrolet Buick GMC of Excelsior Springs. Roberts Robinson and myself want to take a moment to thank all the 810 listeners who have supported Roberts Robinson throughout the years. Better times are ahead, and we are looking forward to seeing you in our store again soon. Thanks for all your support from Roberts Robinson Chevrolet Buick GMC of Excelsior Springs.
Looking for some new gear? Check out the Sports Radio 810 Fan Shop. We've got hoodies, long and short sleeve t-shirts, and much more. And it's all just a click away. Go to 810WHB.com/shop to see the whole selection. That's right, 810WHB.com/shop. The 810 Fan Shop's got gear for men, women, kids, young, old, whatever size, we've got you covered. And we've got new gear dropping all the time. Just go to 810WHB.com/shop to find the latest gear and rep your hometown radio station, Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Championship Barbecue is now available at your fingertips with the new Joe's Kansas City Barbecue online ordering app. Place your order for the legendary Z-Man or Rocket Pig sandwiches, slabs of ribs, or a burnt-end dinner right now. It's just a few clicks from your smartphone, and your order will be hot and ready for curbside pickup. The new Joe's Kansas City Barbecue app is perfect for a weeknight dinner with a family or feeding your entire office. So don't wait. Download the brand-new Joe's Kansas City Barbecue app today.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for clicking this videos. I will show how to pronounce this word. Let's start. Penises. Penises.
With Joshua Brisco.
And one more time. Penises.
And one more time.
Penises. That's all.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
What is the royalty-free name of this song that sounds, I think, like, what's the song that this sounds like? Rudy, you might know. If this started and went, hey, 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 it's the song that starts with hey, hey, hey.
Oh, goodness. Is it, OK Go, the band? No. Oh, it's a Vampire Weekend. Oh, I am on this. It's
don't ask me. I don't know.
It's from Step Brothers.
What's the name of the? It sounds so much like this song. What's the name of this one, Beards?
It's something Guns. Oh, I'm so close to it.
The name of this song is Free as Can Be.
I'll have it in a second for you because I am so close to the name of the song.
I think it's like a 2000
song. Giving Up the Gun by Vampire Weekend.
Is it really?
Yeah, Giving Up the Gun by Vampire Weekend.
I think that's in the system. This might get us DMCA'd, but Beards, will you look to see if that's in the system somewhere just so we can put that royalty-free one beside that song at some point?
I think it's Giving Up the... Or no, not Giving Up the Gun. Give me a second. It's not Giving Up the Gun. It is Vampire Weekend.
No, you know what? It was in the old system as just Giving Up, I remember. If that is what I'm thinking of, that is absolutely in the system.
I'm pretty sure it's not Giving Up the Gun, though. Give me a quick second.
The only song that pops up when
A-Punk by Vampire Weekend.
Is it?
Yes, A-Punk.
There's definitely some Vampire Weekend in
there, because like I have the lyrics to A-Punk, and then it has a couple verses, and then it's hey 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 da na 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 hey hey hey. It's very.
How close are you to finding that?
It is A-Punk.
Hang on one second. I'm putting it in the track.
Thanks again to Harold Kuntz of Fox4. Oh, yes.
Yep, A-Punk.
Okay, now stop playing that because that's copyrighted. Now play the original. Play the royalty-free one.
Oh
again,
no,
Beards.
what we played was totally the royalty-free one.
Come on.
Yep. Say Punk.
That's perfect. That's excellent. Thanks again to Harold for joining us. Who's always great. I just want to talk to Harold more often, and I'm sorry that it keeps happening in days where that is absolutely not the most important thing in the world. But we got
today wasn't on you though. That was just,
not on me.
I mean,
I didn't
fair,
text him at 3 p.m. today.
To be fair, like you probably should have known something was going to happen today.
Yeah.
But like most of us probably should have. Like but it was not your fault though.
I have two Chiefs things that Harold kind of brought to the surface that I hadn't thought about in a little bit. One of them is Eric Bieniemy related, though, that I want to talk about for just a second here. Of all of the jobs that are remaining, and listen, there's a lot we don't know about the specifics of ownership in each of these teams. And again, we played that audio from Andy Reid yesterday that you can go grab at aes.show and get all the podcasts there. But of the teams that he's interviewed with, again, so now he's interviewed for the Jags job, the Jets job, the Chargers job, the Falcons job, and the Lions job. This might be a hot, spicy take, but I think all of those are better than most. This is a better year to be a head coaching candidate than most, I think.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you.
Because there are redeeming qualities to even the worst ones. I would not want to be the Jets head coach, given a series of choices. You are going to get to pick a new quarterback if you want, though, and have good draft positions and whatnot. And your ownership's probably going to stick with you for a little while. They gave Adam Gase 2 years. So that's probably the lowest on my totem pole. And the rest of them, though, I've got decent arguments for.
I will say too, to even like pat up the Jets a little bit. The current GM is not the GM who hired Adam Gase or who signed, for example, Le'Veon Bell.
And ownership loves that GM.
Yeah, so there is a little bit of like the mistakes that organization has made recently. It's still not, I would say, from the top, not a great organization. But at the very least, you can say the GM is not the one who made some of these recent mistakes.
Nope, that's
I
true.
would
That's a
still
good point.
say I would still not necessarily want to be there because I even above the GM, I think the organization is a bit of a mess, and so like that is a place I would typically stay away from. But compared to some other like recent openings, there are pieces there that you can be like, oh, this isn't that bad.
Absolutely. I would say I would make a similar case for the Jags because you're getting Trevor Lawrence if you want him. It seems like there's something to be a little bit spooked by because the owner is also like keeping roster control, at least for now, and that scares me a little bit.
And the owner's son got in a fight with their one of their best players, and Yannick Ngakoue, like over last year, like on Twitter, and that's weird.
I feel like they are certainly more than a quarterback away. So I think the Jets and the Jags are probably the bottom tier here. And then maybe up one more beyond that would be the Lions job. I'm saving the Falcons and Chargers here for a second. But with the Lions job, also, you're probably going to get a fair shake from ownership if they want it to work out, which certainly you would think they would.
They did fire Jim Caldwell when he went like 9-7.
That's true. Patricia. That's true. No, you're right. That's a good point. But they've got a quarterback that can be a stopgap if you want him to be there. But you're right. Maybe that's not quite the well-rounded job.
And that might have been more. That might have been more on the GM and the GM being a Patriots guy and wanting a Patriots, coach. And so that may have fallen more there, and not so much the ownership and the organization as a whole as much as it was just a Patriots guy was like, I need a Patriots guy.
Yeah. And they are still looking for a new GM right now, so that
I pulled up Jim Caldwell's record. His 4 years in Detroit, he went 11-5, 7-9, 9-7, 9-7.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was above 500. That's better than I thought.
And then he got fired.
Yeah,
it was pretty wild.
That is, you're right. That's true.
I mean, like it's not like in Detroit he was 36-28, which isn't like world beating or anything, but like for Detroit's history, that's pretty good.
And I do think that there's more talent there than in the other two teams you mentioned so far, and some quarterback stability. But then you look at the Falcons. That's a good football team already. That Harold mentions culture. Some of that can come from ownership, absolutely, but you could, if ownership is willing to give the controller to a head coach that can kind of reset that particular issue, we saw it happen here. I mean, Clark Hunt gave culture control to Scott Pioli and Todd Haley, and then he gave it to Andy Reid, and you saw very different results and very different. The organization changed. I think Clark has talked about it multiple times. He learned in that process, but I think the Falcons have sort of a film that has never left them after the Super Bowl and that collapse and everything. And some of that will stick just with Matt Ryan being there. But that offense is legitimately good right now, and no one's going to have insane expectations defensively. But you have Grady Jarrett in the middle of it. Like, that's – there is talent there, and your floor is relatively high while you kind of tinker to – rebuild some things, but you're adding more than you're totally tearing down and rebuilding again. In the Chargers, I think that's even more true for them because you have the quarterback, and that's because we think Trevor Lawrence will be one of the guys. There's a chance that Justin Fields is one of the guys, but we are pretty sure that Justin Herbert is one. There's legit talent on both sides of the ball. They've got a star pass rusher, a star receiver that's had issues staying healthy. They could add more weapons there. But you know you have a very talented team with a potentially like top 5 quarterback. But Atlanta and LA both need to have some things ironed out, it seems. I mean, I could have made I could have made, I think, a decent to compelling argument that the Chargers could have just stuck around for at least one more year of Anthony Lynn. Like I think that I could have said, hey, let me explain where you set those Ducks up for one more year. You don't want to waste Justin Herbert's rookie contract. The argument against I can see as well. But they had so many like weird little things. Or didn't feel like they were fundamentally broken like the Falcons felt. It just felt like bad things kept happening, and they figured some of it out later in the year and all of that. I just feel like both of those teams are probably 80% of the way to being good and 60% of the way to being great, perhaps. The Chargers even closer because, again, you have that quarterback. I hope Bieniemy ends up in one of those places just for his sake, even though for the Chiefs, Atlanta would be ideal because having him in the division would be a bit of an interesting wrinkle.
Also, I like, and thinking about this like from Bieniemy's case, I like the Falcons' job a little bit better, and a large part of that is because than
the Chargers' job, or just
yes. Then I would say Atlanta. Like if I'm Bieniemy, Atlanta's my number one job. The Chargers would absolutely be number 2 there. I probably have Houston lower than you just because I think their organization is a mess that I just
I wasn't even ranking Houston just because I'm not even sure that's on the table.
Yeah, I've just seen some people obviously still mention because like Deshaun Watson is obviously a phenomenal talent. It's just that organization is a mess. But
it's a mess.
The thing that Atlanta has going for them is that is a division where Tom Brady and Drew Brees are on their way out. And while Carolina certainly looks like they're moving in the right direction, they still don't have necessarily the quarterback long term. And I believe in Matt Rule. I think he'll more than likely draft a guy who is at the very least competent, who won't be a disaster. But there's no guarantee that they draft the guy. There's no guarantee that whoever they draft becomes the next Justin Herbert or something. That's a division that you'll probably, in a year or two, you could probably win with Matt Ryan. But at the very least, like, again, you're in a position to where you can bide your time waiting for the quarterback you love. I'm just going to assume, they love a guy in this year's draft. My guess is if Bieniemy sits down and looks at the quarterback, there'll be a guy he loves. But if there's not, you can wait. But that division looks like the division to win long term. To where and part of that is you don't have to deal with Patrick Mahomes. Like I think there's something with the Chargers where the next Chargers coach could be really good, but ultimately go 11-5 for multiple years and continually finish second in the division because the Chiefs are just that good, and he get fired because it's just like the team feels like we need somebody else to take that next step. When the reality is you can't take that next step because you're going up against Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. No, you're right, and I guess the way that impacts job security is something I haven't really thought about that much. But you're right. I mean,
but
maybe
the Chargers'
that's your
weapons,
Jim Caldwell record.
Yeah,
there.
But the Chargers have the best. Like if you're looking at it purely from a roster, because you're talking about Justin Herbert, you're talking about Keenan Allen. Mike Williams is a free agent, but they can bring him back, very cost effective, I would assume. So we'll see there. But they have Hunter Henry. He's dealt with injuries, but like the talent that they have is otherworldly. And again, the important thing is you have the young quarterback on a rookie deal. Eric Bieniemy could love Justin Fields, and it could very well be that Justin Fields doesn't pan out. We know Justin Herbert seems like I feel very confident saying Justin Herbert's the guy.
It's as close to a sure thing as you can get without it being literally for sure. I mean, that's why I said I think there's a 90% chance that he works out, because you got a full year of him looking absolutely excellent, and there will probably be a little bit of a give and take, a little bit of a sophomore slump on some level that he'll then bounce back from. Like, that just sort of is a thing that happens relatively frequently. But I mean, however sure you are about Trevor Lawrence, you're a little more sure about Joe Burrow, and you're a little more sure about Justin Herbert, and then you're a lot more sure about Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. But those guys have kind of left that conversation. I mean, even with Burrow, now you're dealing with the injury and the fact that you didn't get as much evidence as you have from Herbert, which wasn't really Burrow's fault, but is true.
Yeah,
Good point by me.
It's a great point. Sorry, I was looking at something.
I sent you guys a message mid-segment. It was bad. I just noticed an issue on our Twitch stream,
no
and
problem.
I was basically making a note for it.
Yeah, no problem. Yes, but no, I couldn't agree with you more.
No, this segment's over.
Yeah,
this one's
it
on
really
me.
It's fine.
It really is.
It's fine. But hey, I mean, like if he ends up in Atlanta or the Chargers, like. You feel like I think those are, like you said, those are clearly the two best spots, and you feel like he's in a situation to where there's no reason that he can't succeed.
I got a little tickle in my throat just then. I was thinking, well, maybe I can cough and get a little drink before Rudy finishes his point. And right then,
I finished my point. This is a great last 2 minutes.
I think the music was going by the time the segment was falling apart.
It was slightly before. Maybe a minute.
Think about how good the first segment with Harold was,
that
everybody,
was
all right? We'll see if we can replicate that energy with Sterling Holmes next.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Whether you're looking for energy savings for the winter or updating your home office or man cave, One Stop Decorating is the place for beautiful, energy-efficient window coverings. One Stop Decorating offers free in-home or virtual consultations, or you can come into one of their 3 beautiful showrooms to see all the window coverings in their Hunter Douglas galleries. Ask about smart shades that can be controlled by Google, Alexa, and HomeKit. 913-270-0408, 913-270-0408, or onestopdecorating.com. Your home, your windows, your style.
Hi, Chiefs fans. This is Clark Hunt. If you have an urgent orthopedic or sports injury, the University of Kansas Health System is open, safe, and has extended hours to see you quickly. You deserve champion treatment from the experts who treat the Chiefs. Request an appointment at kansashealthsystem.com/sportsmedicine. We're proud that the University of Kansas Health System is the official healthcare provider of the Chiefs.
No one gives you more Chiefs news, information, and interviews than your hometown radio station. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Caught in the back of the end zone. Touchdown, Kelsey.
Yeah, you know it. Let's go.
We'll rest up some guys.
That's what you work your tail off for all season.
I just trust in the coaches. I'm ready to go.
Your exclusive home for the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl 55. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Small business owners don't have the patience for nonsense, especially when it comes to their internet provider. They want the best services for the best price. Simply put, that's Spectrum Business. They give you great value, zero nonsense. Just call 833-919-2121. You'll get fast, reliable internet and phone with no contracts and no hidden fees, all for a price that could cut your bill in half. Spectrum Business. Call today, 833-919-2121.
Hi, I'm Fred Ramsey.
And I'm Mark Tobin. Hey, folks, if you're not busy Saturday mornings from 6 to 7 a.m., well, I hope you'll join us for the Midwest Outdoors, brought to you by Reed Chevrolet St. Joe.
Join us and our expert guests, and we'll be talking about hunting and fishing, dog training. We'll give you tips, pass along stories, and most important, share some laughs along the way.
That's right. We cover it all, from crappie to waterfowl, and we'll tell you how to cook it, too.
The Midwest Outdoors, brought to you by Reed Chevrolet, Saturday morning, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
The expanded NFL playoffs are here. While the Chiefs rest up for round 2, sit back and enjoy exclusive live coverage of all 6 NFL playoff matchups this weekend on Sports Radio 810 and ESPN Kansas City. 3 games Saturday, 3 games Sunday to kick off the NFL playoffs. Right here on your home for Super Bowl 55, Sports Radio 810 WHB. Presented by CBD American Shaman, Complete Home Concepts, and Victory Ford. Kansas City's favorite sports station, 20 years and counting. Sports Radio 810 WHB, Kansas City.
Hello there, I'm Mark Robbins. The NBA on ESPN and, of course, the ESPN app tonight, nearing halftime in Oakland. And Golden State trailing the LA Clippers 48-42 with about 3 minutes to go in the second quarter. And again, on ESPN and the app. Earlier, Peyton Pritchard with a bucket with 0.2 of a second to go helps Boston knock off Miami 107-105. And how about the Knicks taking out Houston as Austin Rivers runs deep in the fourth quarter.
5 to shoot against O'Neal. Rivers at the left wing. 3 to shoot. 3 on the way. Hits another one. Contested again. Austin Rivers with the last 14 points for the Knicks. And with 47.5 to go, the Knicks lead by 10.
All the excitement on 98.7 ESPN New York as the Knicks improved to 5-3 with a 112-100 win over Utah. All the NBA games, all 11 on the schedule tonight being played. Many knees taken during the anthem, and there were other signs of solidarity in the objection of social injustice and the disappointment in today's riot that forced a breach at the U.S. Capitol building. In college basketball, number 9 Tennessee and the SEC knocks off Arkansas 79-74. Louisville defeats 19th ranked Virginia Tech by a bucket 73-71 and just completed number 2 Baylor at home over Oklahoma 76-71. Clemson star quarterback Trevor Lawrence makes it official today, declaring for the NFL draft.
Coming up on Thursday, all the preseason hype was about the Brooklyn Nets. But right now, it's a team playing around Times Square that we should really be talking about, the New York Knicks. I'll tell you why they're finally back, but will they be able to sustain is another question. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin, 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Your boy put up a hammock
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
The one and only hammock boy, Sterling Holmes, joins us now. Before we get there, quick, Beards, what is the name of this royalty-free music bed?
I'm so glad you asked. This one is called Made in the Backseat. Made it in the backseat.
Made it in the backseat. Made in the backseat would have different insinuations, I think. What's the title, Beards?
Made it in the backseat.
Very good. Well, Sterling Holmes has made it into the front seat of this segment. That doesn't mean anything. You can follow him on Twitter at HomestretchKC. You can hear him over on ESPN Kansas City, 1510 AM, 94.5 FM, arrowheadaddict.com. I think that's all the things that you do, Sterling, other than just, again, following you on Twitter. Is there anything else you would like to tell people to find you through?
I also sell real estate, so you can find me on betterhomesandgardens.com. But no, I was actually laughing. What were they making in the back seat? Was like a were they whittling something? Were they making coffee?
They made it.
They made the book It. Do you think that's what Stephen King was writing?
Yes.
Like he wrote the book It. That's a long book to write in the back seat, to be honest with you.
That's a great point, but I think he just specifically, his happy space as a writer was to hop into the back seat with a typewriter and start tip-tapping away about that very scary clown.
Also, now that Beard is back, I think he really missed an opportunity to play Back in the Saddle, by Aerosmith. I think that really would have fit his style there. I'm a little disappointed by that.
But so this is the thing, and so you're not back in the saddle, but you did make it in the back seat, because the reason that we were playing that royalty-free music is because we are starting today on a royalty-free music kick, so we can not get taken off of Twitch as we live stream into every corner of the universe. I'm afraid of Aerosmith or anyone coming after kind of all of our stuff. And so I went and I found a bunch of the least objectionable royalty-free music I could find on our little library.
Yeah, I love that because I'm sure Steven Tyler was really worried about Almost Entirely Sports taking his shtick. I get that.
Listen, the DMCA takedowns they're no joke. Music labels are very litigious.
No, they are. Good word, by the way. I'm proud of you. You must have been reading.
Well, I was going to ask what you've been reading, because that's always where our conversations end up, is that you just, this is going to sound like just a straight-up insult, but it's also true, so what are you going to do? I just think most people are probably surprised to, know you and then find out that you're a big reader. Yeah. And again, that does sound just like a straight-up-and-down joke about how you look or sound or something. But it's also true. So what have you been reading since I don't know, over the holiday break and whatnot?
Yeah, well, so my goal for the new year is to finish 40 books this season, or this year, I guess. I finished 2 already this year. Emma Donahue's Astray, very good. By the way, the word jumbo is named after an elephant. So fun fact, the elephant came first, and then the word jumbo followed. Learned that from that bad boy. Also read my first book. It was an Indian author. I'm trying to expand my horizons, and then now currently I'm reading a book by David Wright, the former third baseman for the Mets. Very interesting, as well as I'm reading War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. So got a lot going on.
Which one of those that you've read so far this year would you be like, everyone should read this? This is the best book I've read in 2021 or over the last 2 months or whatever.
Oh, last 2 months is honestly Catch-22 is up there. Catch-22 it has got to be up there. And Barry Zito's book. Barry Zito's book was fantastic.
I was going to ask you about Barry. Okay, I saw that you tweeted about Barry Zito's book, your signed copy of Barry Zito's book.
Oh, my David Wright book also signed. Come on now, I got to do some subtle flexes over here. Make people think I still like sports and books. It's a combination again. Yeah.
This is probably unfair, but I just sort of expect that most sort of athlete books are not going to be great for whatever reason, but you are saying that Barry Zito's book is top of the line quality. Explain this to me.
The reason why I thought Barry Zito's book was so good, because to me it gives you an in-depth dive of what you think players think, and he's one of the first to admit it. A lot of times when you are, quote-unquote, the guy, or you sign that big contract, because at the time Barry Zito was the highest paid, the biggest contract in baseball. Yeah. And then when you don't go to perform, you have all this pressure you put on yourself, and you kind of get into the mind of what that's like for the player, how you try to get out of it, what can you do. Sometimes it comes down to you're just getting older. And honestly, it was really kind of refreshing to see him when the Giants won the first World Series and he was basically left off the roster. Mm-hmm. His mindset, and to me, it's just one of those things where you don't see many athletes that open up with that type of vulnerability and give you an honest answer. So that's why I thought it was very interesting.
Did you say it was very interesting?
Very interesting, yeah.
There was a good review, and then I heard you say very interesting. I don't even know that you said it on purpose, but it's what I heard, and it really kind of threw everything off onto its side. You want to talk about some sports things?
I would love to talk about some sports things.
You tweeted about Dragon Bender, and it really pissed me off.
But be honest with me right here. When I said he was 23, and by the way, he just turned 23. Did that blow your mind? I was like, this guy has to be at least 34 by now,
It means what's really upsetting is it means that he was drafted around when I was 23, and I feel like I was younger than that when he got drafted.
I don't know who is doing better in life, you or Dragon Bender at this point. I think it's a toss-up.
I think I'm the Dragon Bender of sports radio.
Yeah. What am I?
I'm in the league, but I'm not really doing much. I'm not you're not going to take me in your fantasy radio draft.
Well,
but
I
I'm
hate to tell you, but Dragon Mitter is not in the NBA anymore.
Yeah,
he's
he's
overseas.
playing over in Israel. He's in Israel now.
He was drafted in 2016. He's 20. That is incredible. He turned 23 in November. That's insane. But he also played overseas, and so he was drafted at age 11, I guess. One of the greatest names in NBA history. I'll give him that.
Hands down.
That's not what I actually want to talk to you about, but I saw that tweet, and it really bummed me out. Is Mizzou basketball actually good? This is the first time we've talked about Mizzou basketball on this show in this college basketball year. So I want you to help us make up some time.
Give me a day to not twist the knife any farther. Honestly, this Mizzou basketball team is they're very weird in the fact that they've shown glimpses this season. Even in some games, the game they lost against Mississippi State was last night. The first half was the best first half I have seen them play, and probably in Quanzo Martin's entire tenure at Mizzou. And then the second half was hands down the worst half I've ever seen them play, and it was the same game. I don't know what to expect. They look really good when Pinson and Jeremiah Tillman are on the same page. The main issue is they have zero shooters outside of Mark Smith, and Mark Smith even has been pretty inconsistent this season. He's taken a step back but become the third scorer. I don't know what this Mizzou team is. They have some good wins over Illinois. They beat Wichita State. They beat Oregon. You beat an undefeated Arkansas team. Even the win over Liberty, as ugly as it was, Liberty's already beaten a couple of SEC teams this season. And if you would have won against Mississippi State, you're saying, okay, this is probably a top 12 team. You're probably looking at a 3 or 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. But after this loss, I'm looking back and going, were some of these games real? They had some games where you go, they barely held on against Liberty. Obviously, the game against Illinois came down to the wire. The game against Oregon, they haven't really had some huge convincing victories. So, to be honest with you, I don't know what to expect. I think they're around the 20 to 30th best team. I think they make the tournament, but I don't know how much noise you can make when you truly don't have any shooters.
Yeah, I think that's a good take because I think that so often that's what ends up giving a team a crazy run is you're just hot from three for 3 straight games, and all of a sudden some 7 seed is actually making some noise. So I think that makes sense. But so that's all kind of micro, though, right? That's looking at last night's game and up the tournament. How has this made you feel about where the program is as a whole right now? Especially if you think back to some of the times that maybe you were asking questions about Quanzo Martin being the guy to now how you feel right now and then the direction of the program. Does this feel like a high watermark? Does it feel like this is as good as it's going to get for a while? Or does this feel like a positive sort of sign of things to come?
That's a very good question. Actually, Alec Lewis and myself were getting into it a little bit on Twitter about this. What I said was, we need at least one more season from Quanzo. I think next year is the year you can really start dissecting and saying, hey, maybe he's not the guy. But I think this year you have to give him the time. He's dealing with a lot of seniors. He's had a lot of injury problems go against him. Last season, your best 2 players in Jeremiah Tillman and Mark Smith missed most of the season. You bring in Michael Porter Jr., you get Jonte Porter, and they're hurt like their entire Mizzou career. He hasn't really had a fair I guess you can't really judge him too harshly on that. You can't account for injuries, especially when you're just taking over a program that was at about the lowest it has been in a long time. If they do make the tournament this season, I think that he for sure deserves to come back. What does worry me is there's still no three-point shooters on this team. This team is a experienced team, a lot of juniors, a lot of seniors. What is this team going to look like next year when it's going to be all of his guys? What's it going to look like as far as the recruiting trail when we haven't heard a lot of noise coming out of Mizzou as far as some big-time recruits? So I think next year's the year we judge. I think this year, if you make it to the tournament, we're happy. I'm still on the Martin train, but next year I'm going to be very harsh on him.
I think the cycle of have some issues, have some struggles, but you're building, and then all the payoff comes whenever the guys you've been working on for a couple of years become juniors and seniors. I think that's the cycle that ends up buying guys more time than they should get. Not as an indictment or one way or another on Martin at this point, but just throughout college basketball, it feels like you get those. I mean, K-State might be an even better example of that happening a few times around here recently, where you like, oh yeah, look at how good they've really kind of reset themselves as truly being among the class of the the seniors are gone. Well, better luck 2 or 3 years from now. So it'll be really interesting to see if Mizzou can have sustained success, because I think that there are definitely a lot of programs this will not be the case for, but I think most of your top 40 programs should be able to have a really successful year every 3 years as you are rotating guys and trying to get an upper class group to be able to play together after a long period of time. But being able to do that year in and year out, that's what ends up separating programs, I think.
Oh, I 100% agree there. My I guess main instinct though is I don't want to go back to, and not fair to Kim Anderson, he got handed literally nothing, a bare cupboard and allegations. So that's unfair. He was basically thrown in to say, hey, you're a Mizzou alum, you've always wanted to coach Mizzou, take it for a year, and then you're getting axed. That was unfair to him, but I don't want to go back to those style where you're rotating a coach in every year or two. There's no chance for a recruiting trail to really build. You can't get a great base when the coach is going to be gone in 2 seasons. So I want to at least give Martin a fair shake. I think about 5 years, in my opinion, is a fair shake. I know it's a lot longer than most people, a longer leash than most people probably like. Everyone wants results right away, but when you're not a KU, a Gonzaga, a Duke, and when you're not a team that's built for this, long stretch that they've had, it's tough to all of a sudden get success right away. It just does not happen.
Yeah. Let's talk about football then. Let's do a little Chiefs talk. And also, by the way, I failed to mention this earlier, and I failed. Because this weekend on Sports Radio 810, you're getting all 6 playoff games right here on these same airwaves here on Sports Radio 810. WHB. The KU game on Saturday will be over on ESPN Kansas City. But of the AFC games, I am genuinely really excited about all 3 of the AFC matchups. Colts, Bills, Ravens, Titans, and Browns, Steelers all feel like the best matchups for each other, just for a pure entertainment standpoint. We now know, of course, that the Chiefs could either play the Browns, Titans, Ravens, or Colts in the second round of the playoffs. They will not play the Bills or the Steelers no matter what, because those are the 2 and 3 seeds. Which of those matchups do you think would be the easiest doing for the Chiefs next weekend? Which one do you think would be the toughest matchup, and which one do you think would be most fun?
I sure wouldn't mind playing the Steelers. I wouldn't mind having a thing where the 1 seed gets to pick that they get to play in the next round, just for fun. But
I like that idea a lot. Can you imagine the drama and the disrespect? Yeah.
I've been wanting that for a long time. I've been wanting the 1 seed picks. It just adds a lot more. Like the NBA, that would work so well. But as far as this goes, I think obviously the Browns would be the easiest team, right? I mean, the Browns they're the team that their Super Bowl was making it to the playoffs. You could say that this is reminiscent of like the 2014 Royals, where you're playing with house money, where they made it to the playoffs. Now, whatever happens after that's gravy, is gravy. So that could be a dangerous team, but they just don't seem like that to me. The Ravens are the team that would scare me the most, just based on they're playing very good football right now. The Ravens and the Bills both are playing at an extremely high level. I would say Browns would be the best matchup for Kansas City to win in, and the Ravens probably give me the most, I guess, bad feeling. The Chiefs seemingly have their number, but at some point, would you say the Ravens are due?
I think the specifics of the Ravens that give me a little bit of nerves at this point is just that it seems like they've gotten their bleep together. Like they had so many issues over the course of this season, and their defense is competent and their offense is firing again. The whole I still, and I should know better by this point, I still don't know if I believe the X has Y's number narrative for in any situation, because I think I expect the Chargers are going to give the Chiefs a good matchup every game now because at least their defense to the Chiefs' offense. And I think the Chiefs should be favored against the Ravens until something else happens. But I'm not even sure why. If that comes down to talent, coaching, whatever. Well, if that's the case, that's true for every single matchup. Is there some extra element determining all of that? I just genuinely don't know.
No, and when I say they have their number, I don't mean it as some, intangible thing. I mean it as far as in the past, the Chiefs have gotten the best of the Ravens in games where you maybe didn't think they were going to. Sure. That's why you could almost make the case that you could say, in baseball terms, the Ravens are due.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I don't necessarily believe that the Ravens are going to beat the Chiefs, but at some point, the Chiefs probably aren't going to go 10-0 against a good Ravens team. Just based on the statistics, that's just not realistic. At some point, the Chiefs are going to have a bad game, and the Ravens are going to play out of their mind, and that's how it happens. The Ravens are just clicking, like you said, on all cylinders, and that always is scary. The Chiefs were like that going into the playoffs last year. They were clicking on all cylinders, and when a team is firing in all phases, that to me is a scary team.
Yeah, right. I think that's still a good argument, even if you do buy some of the, some of the intangible things. I heard Beards' microphone come on. What's up, Beards?
We've had this discussion before, I think, on the post-game show when they played the Ravens last, and I used this stat, and I just checked it up to see if it's still true. Lamar Jackson's completion percentage against the Chiefs is the second lowest out of everybody he's faced. The only other one being a Seahawks game he played once. So against the Chiefs, he only throws 52% of his passes completed.
That's tangible.
Again, the thing, right? It is tangible, but I don't understand it. I'm not saying it's not a thing. I'm saying I can't.
Can I give maybe an explanation as to why?
Yeah, explain it, Beards.
Because Patrick Mahomes is the opposition, and he's trying to outthrow them because the Chiefs get so far ahead every time instead of trying to run it.
I don't think that's a bad explanation. Sterling, what are your thoughts?
No, that's honestly, I'd probably say that's the best explanation because we know when the Ravens are going right, it's when they're leading. When they have to play from behind, they struggle. So I think Beards probably put that in the best succinct explanation right there.
For the first time ever.
Yeah. Well, Beards, what's going on, pal? What got into you?
Yeah, Beards, do you feel okay? Have we checked your temperature?
I'm fine back here.
That was just like the most correct and efficient I think you've ever been. I mean, I was kind of only half paying attention until you started talking, and then I was back in again. Sterling was reading a book, but you said that, and he was like, you know what? I think that's right. Is Rudy okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm currently just trouble fixing some things, troubleshooting.
See, trouble fixing is really
trouble.
That's a real Beards thing to say.
Yeah,
that's is it like Freaky Friday where Rudy and Beard switch bodies?
I mean, earlier me and Josh were having to talk about NBA, and I was throwing out random NBA facts, and Beards said very little. So I mean, like it's Beards is the football guy now. I'm the basketball guy.
I don't have anything to say there either.
I was mute. I was stunned.
We're still getting our chemistry back, just with all three of us around. It's gonna take a little bit, but now I'm on the COVID reserve list as a close contact, trying to figure out what my whole deal is right now, and so I can't see Beards or Rudy, and it's even harder this way. And you're on the phone, and just sometimes you're gonna have a short silence that just sort of hangs in the air like that.
That's fair. That's fair. I sold my Christmas tree up. If that makes you feel better, I get a look at that.
Oh, okay. Around the room, how long? When is the first? I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this in a way that is most forgiving. At what point is it past time to put your Christmas tree up? Or if you walked into somebody's house and you saw their Christmas tree up on whatever day, you would say that's spoiled.
About January 9th.
Wow. Okay, Beards?
See, my mom was always somebody that was someone who, like, the next day was already starting to take everything down. I would say far end, if it's not down by New Year's Eve, then that's pushing it a little bit.
Wow, Rudy.
I think you could kind of have it up on January 1st if you're trying to leave it up for a little bit of the celebration, just as a decoration. But by January 1st, like that next day, it's got to be gone.
Wait, Brisco, I am befuddled right now because I feel like New Year's is like the typical takedown time. But I feel like you should get a week-long extension. Like
No.
for someone like me,
No.
it's a real Christmas tree.
Yeah,
They
no.
cost money. I'm getting my money's worth out of this bad boy.
I mean, that's your problem.
I don't know how the real to fake thing switches it. I am a fake tree man, 100%. I don't need a tree inside. But I'm gonna. You know what my honest to goodness day was going to be? My cutoff day. I've been sitting here mouth agape as you guys have been giving your cutoffs. The day that I would say, you know what, it's time. I think I would genuinely say February 1st.
Wow. What? Okay.
I don't mind if your Christmas tree is up through January. You kind of ride out a little bit of that Christmas creep. It all starts the day after Thanksgiving, but I'm not trying to embrace it until after Thanksgiving's gone by. You know, I think December 1st through like January is all that kind of same kind of gray winter. And if you can get through with a little extra Christmas cheer mid-January, your tree's still up, I'm not going to judge you for it.
I mean, I'm not really going to judge anybody for, like, do what you want. Do what makes you happy. Like, you know, just, it's weird. But do what makes you
If
happy.
it's up at Valentine's Day, that's weird. But, like...
Yeah, if it's up January 31st, it's still weird. But, again, you know what? Do what makes you happy. If there's anything 2020 has taught us, find the little things in life that make you happy and hold on tight to them.
Brisco, I love the sanguine approach you have, man. I do.
Oh, another good word by you that time. Was that just so you could say the word sanguine?
I mean, as I'm sipping my hot tea, I mean, I wouldn't say I didn't make a note of it.
Do you have a smoking jacket on right now?
Ooh, good question.
To be honest, you know what's funny is I have a long list of Wikipedia searches and just the tabs, and I actually wanted to buy a smoker's jacket. I don't even smoke, but I thought it'd be fun just to have.
I've got you in a silk robe right now, just sort of, you know, tied off just above the belly button.
I was gonna say the other option was a bathrobe.
Yeah, I like a silk red, not a bathrobe, a silk red sort of robe that's just it hits just above the knee, but you're barely safe. You don't want to walk by. You don't want to walk by downwind of your kind of setup situation. You might see some things.
Are you saying I have one of those like those Asian style windows in front of me, you know, that I walk by so you can kind of see, but not really? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. One of like the thin like paper walls. You mean?
Yeah. One
like
of
a little partition. Yeah. Yeah.
One of those. The thing is you're not too far off.
Yeah, no, it's either you're wearing a robe or you're wearing a smoking jacket and a mini skirt. It's really hard to tell, but that is the silhouette coming through the partition.
It's like another Powers style, you know?
Yeah, very much so. I had another. I think I wanted you to kind of go through your tabs you had open, but where were we before sort of robe smoking jacket?
It was
territory?
football. It was football. We were talking
about...
No,
not that far back. Not that far back. There was something else. It was another kind of Christmas. Let's see. Christmas tree. I think I was going to say I am... Like, so here's the thing. Around Halloween, girlfriend Renee put up just so many Halloween decorations, including in the backyard. And if you look out back, you're just going to see like a ghost and a corpse hanging out there. And I was over that on November 1st. But if some of the, like, you know, less offensive, kind of more subtle decorations stay up until Thanksgiving, and then the Thanksgiving ones stay up until you decorate for Christmas, and then, you know, a little Christmas, New Year's kind of action, I'm okay having a house that has decorations of some sort, basically from Halloween through January, I think. And then outside of that, it gets a little touch and go.
Yeah, that's fair. No, I mean, I don't do Halloween stuff because I'm not trying to, like, scare myself. You know, I get scared easily. I'm not trying to, like, be like, oh, my gosh, what's that? You know, I don't want to, like... I
stopped going out back at night because of the, like, the mummy skeleton corpse thing that was hanging from our post in the backyard. I did not enjoy it.
Yeah, there's enough scary stuff in the world that I don't need to really scare myself. I think I'm good on that. So
100%. Yeah, I'm in the exact same boat. All right, where should Eric Bieniemy go? If he has his pick, he's interviewed with everybody except for the Texans. What's your favorite landing spot?
My favorite, well, again, take away Chiefs fandom, take away.
For Bieniemy.
For Bieniemy, the best place is, I think, obviously the Chargers. I know Chiefs fans don't want to hear it, but I think that has got to be the best spot. You have a young quarterback, a stud quarterback. You have weapons. You have some defense in place. That has to be the best option. I think people are somewhat sleeping on Detroit because Detroit is a place where I think, would get some time. You still have Matt Stafford there because Atlanta, they're talking about getting rid of Julio Jones and Matt Ryan and what's going to happen there. I don't want to be in Jacksonville. Shad Khan seems like there's a problem there because no players want to play in Jacksonville. Say Tom Coughlin, but it's been a while now. No one wants to be in Jacksonville, and then the Jets are dumpster fire. So I think Chargers make the most sense to me.
I hope he gets that shot. If that ends up being like a Joe Brady landing spot or whatever, I think we talked about this last segment. I think most of them are redeemable for one reason or another, but I think the Chargers would be most ideal. But do you think it's fair to say that you could nitpick across all of them, but I think that any of them would be a better landing spot than most of the worst options you would find in a typical year?
Oh, 100%. I mean, also the 7 figures isn't going to hurt him either. I'll go anywhere for that. I'd coach anywhere. But I think at the end of the day, you're right. Every spot at least has some redeemable qualities. Even the Jets have some redeemable qualities. Just to me, the Jets and the Jags, those two spots continuously have problems year in and year out. I just don't know if I would trust that. Detroit, Houston, Atlanta, Los Angeles. I think those are all spots that you could see Bieniemy have continued success and make it out of a 3-year time frame.
Yeah. This is great, Sterling. It's good to talk to you again. Tell everybody all the places they can see things that you're doing and where they can follow you on Twitter to get your book recommendations.
Yeah, Brisco, I missed you guys. I missed you too, Rudy and Beard. But you can follow me on Twitter at HomestretchKC. You can read my stuff on Arrowhead Addict. I'm actually going to post a little Dan Sorensen article in the next couple of days, so you can check that out there. I always get ripped on my game grade, so I figured why not actually go head on to the haters. But you can find me there. Find me on Homestretch KC.
In the year 2021, more white football players need defended. I agree with this.
I didn't even say defended, Rudy.
Give me a little hors d'oeuvre, a little appetizer as for the Dan Sorensen story. I didn't know you had a Dan Sorensen take.
Yeah. So is he great and one-on-one coverage? No, not at all. He's brutal. But what I will say is he is a third safety. He is getting paid like a third safety, and fans need to stop expecting him to perform like he's a bona fide stud safety. He led the team in tackles with 91, and how many third safeties around the NFL are doing that?
At this point, he's getting snaps as a second safety.
But guess what? That's not his fault. That's on coaching.
I will say, to be fair, Sterling is right there. It's not like whenever Sorensen has been asked to do more, it's not his fault. So you know what? I'll give Sterling that.
That's like saying put Colin Saunders at linebacker for 100% snaps.
Do it.
but that's my point in saying he's getting beat. Well, no bleep he's getting beat, but that's not on him. The coaches are putting him there.
You got very Southern at the end. The coaches are putting him there. All right, Sterling Holmes.
Oh man.
That was just. Why did it get so twangy at the end? That's just very confusing.
I don't know, Brisco. Who knows how my voice changes? To be honest with you, they should do studies on it. It makes no sense.
It was just sort of startling. Thank you, Sterling.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You can follow him on Twitter at HomestretchKC. Go get all of his book recommendations. We'll take a break, come back, and I don't know, see what happens at the end of my sentences. Oh, it's happening to me too. It's contagious. What a crazy thing happening on this radio show. Let's get out of here. Yeehaw!
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page.
It's football season in Kansas City, and that means it's ring season. So as KC hunts for another championship, there's no need to hunt for the best tasting light beer in town. You can run it back this season with the great taste of Miller Lite and enjoy greatness on the football field and in your beer. The official great taste of football in Kansas City, Miller Lite.
Please enjoy Miller Lite responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
The IRS doesn't mess around. If they want your money, they'll take it. They can take your paycheck and bank accounts too, even threaten your home or business. Don't take on the IRS alone. If you owe back taxes, the smartest thing you can do is call Optima Tax Relief. The experts at Optima specialize in a powerful IRS tax assistance program called the Fresh Start Initiative. And their clients that qualify are saving thousands, even tens of thousands. One call starts the process to stop the demand letters, stop aggressive collection actions, and stop the IRS from targeting you. But don't delay. It's important to act now while you still have options. Optima is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. Optima has already resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Get your life back. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima now for your free consultation.
Call 800-259-8642. 800-259-8642. 800-259-8642.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Buying or selling your home is a big decision, maybe the largest transaction of your life. So make sure you have a real estate expert on your side. Shannon Brimacombe and Stacy Cohen with Reese Nichols. Brimacombe and Cohen rank among the top 1% of all agents in the city, with over 100 million in transactions in the past 2 years. Dedication and decades in the business. Contact Shannon Brimacombe at 913-269-1740 and find out why Brimacombe and Cohen are moving people and moving houses.
This is Kevin Harlan from Westwood One. Join us for the NFL Super Wild Card Sunday tripleheader. First up, Derrick Henry and the Titans host Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Then the Bears visit Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. Finally, it's a rivalry in primetime when the Browns are in Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. If it's the NFL playoffs, it's right here.
Presented by CBD American Shaman, Complete Home Concepts, and Victory Ford.
Hi, this is Mr. Truck KC. Tim Grunout here from Roberts Robinson Chevrolet Buick GMC of Excelsior Springs. Roberts Robinson and myself want to take a moment to thank all the 810 listeners who have supported Roberts Robinson throughout the years. Better times are ahead, and we are looking forward to seeing you in our store again soon. Thanks for all your support from Roberts Robinson Chevrolet Buick GMC of Excelsior Springs.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
And if you'd like to read this story, you can go to
goal.com/en-us/penis-biting-band-4-5-years-over-act-of. On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Go ahead, Beard. What's it called?
Skaterhead.
That's a good name for this song.
This song sounds like it would be playing in the Sunset Overdrive video game.
Yeah, that's pretty good. This is Blink 183 right now. That's currently playing.
Yeah.
I can basically put. Here's the thing. Here's my very hot take. If you put Blink 182 vocals over this song, it would be indiscernible largely.
Oh, you wouldn't know, yeah.
But whenever you hear it with the vocals that were made in the original non-instrumental version of this royalty-free music song, you can very tell.
This is just all the small things.
100%.
Yeah.
I heard First Date somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's probably like a mix of like there at the end also, it was all the small things. At the beginning, I would say it was First Date. So it was just a little bit of a mix between them.
There's also probably not. Listen, I am a lover of pop punk. I will not have this used against me.
It's great music.
But also, if your very, very bold take was that a lot of it, even from the same bands, sounds very similar occasionally,
I'll fight you.
I think that take is probably allowed.
It's true.
I think that's probably true.
Sorry, Bears, I couldn't hear you because there was this loud fan noise. So I didn't hear a word you said.
What are you talking about? I don't hear anything.
I'm going the other way around. I'm going the other way around. I'm saying that it's really nice for classic rock beards to get in there about how
Yes.
diverse and interesting music can be within a genre. Like, listen, I mean, I think most genres are going to have some sort of little homogenous pockets and some nice little variances. But I just, I think we're all throwing stones from a glass house.
Here's the thing with Beards. All of his music sounds the same. All of his video games are the same. All the books he listens to are the same. All the food he eats is the same. Beards and diversity does not mix, very well.
Yeah, and he's a Celtics fan.
Hey.
That's true though. That's the
It's
thing, man.
chicken.
Beards-
It's fantasy books. It's games that are blank Dark Souls, and it's classic rock.
and hoodies and backwards hats.
Hoodies and backwards hats.
And fitted, fitted, slightly stretchy hats.
Mm-hmm.
One beard style.
Do I need another?
Well,
There's just never been any variation.
The fact that in a decade you have not been tempted into just shaving into a mustache is totally unreasonable to me. Like, I almost shave my head
I understand.
every month.
I understand that I don't grow the best mustache, so that's why I have the rest of the beard to cover that up, is because I have a very light mustache that's a little thinner than I would like. So then I don't do that.
But the fact that you never thought, all right, with my whole beard, I'm gonna just grow out the mustache for an extra several weeks, and then I'm going down to just straight the mustache. The fact that you've never done that just to see what it would like. Listen, almost every single time I shave more than normal, I regret it immediately, but I still do it every once in a while.
I've done it.
Just to know what I'd look like if I had a goatee, and then it all goes away, and then I hate it, and then I grow the beard back. The fact that you don't have that cycle ever is crazy to me. It's stunning. But that's Beards finds what he likes, and then he does that thing or eats that thing or whatever. You're and listen, if that gets it done for you, why would you need to shave your beard into a mustache if you're just happy with the beard? I envy you, Beards, and your homogenous pleasures.
Decisiveness. He knows what he likes, sticks with it. And you know what? He's probably happier than the both of us for it.
Rudy, when's the last time you decided to shave your facial hair into a mustache?
Oh, man. Typically, the couple of times, it's been a while since I've really, fully shaved, my beard down all the way, but anytime I have, the mustache is the last to go, so I can look at it, and then I'm just
100%.
always reminded oh no, this is a bad look.
See, I always end up trimming the mustache first for whatever reason. So I think that negates it. I think my strategy's wrong in that way. I'm trying to do that.
I think Beards, let me pitch you this, because I understand if you came in with just a mustache, they would have to shovel me off the floor because I would have collapsed into a heap. But I think what you got to do is next time you go for the beard trim, let the mustache run wild, and you'll just have sort of an implied mustache there. And then Rudy, next time you shave and you do the mustache thing, deny the angel on your shoulder, tell it to shut up for 1 day and come to work with that. Just once.
I'm sure it'll happen.
Do it next time.
Okay.
It's not a big holiday.
Yeah.
You're not not doing it because Christmas is around the corner.
I'll have to
I'm
worry
apparently
about
supposed
seeing people because we're in a pandemic, so
and you can wear a mask.
I gotta worry about going out. Yeah, it's true. I can just wear a mask to that. This is the time to test it out. That's a good point.
It absolutely is.
I did end up,
and then you'll be on every video platform on the internet shortly thereafter. But don't worry about it.
Nobody's watching.
I did, though, a while ago. I had my beard a lot longer than usual, and the mask was just really killing me because where the chin is, it would just curl up underneath that a little bit, and it would really smush it, so it just looked dumb. I ended up trimming it way down, more than I had in a while, and as soon as I did it, I was like, oh, I hate this. Why?
I mean, you always hate it. That's totally fair. I expect to hate it. You just got to do it sometimes.
Like
this
this show.
Talk. I wanted to talk about Mitchell Schwartz at some point. We could probably take a break and then come back with a very serious Mitchell Schwartz conversation. Not like super serious, but like definitely very sportsy.
I like sports.
You guys want to do that?
You're the host, man. We're waiting. I can't toss the break. Beards can't just fire the break.
I mean, I could.
No, you can't, Beards. Doesn't work.
You could. It would be the last button you ever hit in the radio business.
I feel like this is where Josh would have pointed to Beards if he was here.
No, I don't know. We're just kind of freewheeling at this point, you know. He can't see me. I can't see.
That's
you
what
guys.
I'm saying. I feel like that is definitely though like the toss that you would have done to break if you were here, and then like pointed as if to make it seem like Beards fired without you saying to go to break. But we can't do that because you're not here. You can't. The point doesn't work.
If I really hit the intonation, there's an implied point to it, even if I don't say it.
I don't think Beards would have picked up on it.
I think he did once this show, which was good.
He might be on Reddit.
And he just did it again.
At JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, at Not That Rudy, at Sports Radio 810. Just do it already.
Since 1929, Shane Company's been part of over 1 million perfect proposals. An engagement ring is a symbol of your natural love, a love that's pure, unique, and rare. Choose a center stone that will reflect that. At Shane Company, all of our diamonds, rubies, and sapphires are natural, rare stones, sourced directly from suppliers worldwide who share our dedication to the highest ethical standards. Because we have the largest selection of natural stones in every price range, and each stone has its own unique characteristics, it'll be easy to find a center stone that's perfect for the two of you. Visit our store or go online to create a one-of-a-kind ring that's as genuine as your love story. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business, Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
Paid for by Get Upside. Man, how can you afford gas for that big SUV?
I pay less for gas than everyone else. I got the free Get Upside gas app and get up to 25 cents a gallon cash back every time I buy gas.
Hold on. You're getting up to 25 cents off a gallon with the free Get Upside gas app while I'm paying full price?
You know it. People earned over $1 million last year. You just got to take a picture of your gas receipt and bam, up to 25 cents a gallon cash back.
You don't have to tell me twice. I'm downloading the free Get Upside gas app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play and save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code LUCK for a 50-cent a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 75 cents a gallon on your next tank. Just download the free Get Upside app at the App Store or Google Play and use promo code LUCK. Save money on gas on every fill-up. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code LUCK. That's LUCK. Visit GetUpside.com for terms.
A KC tradition since 1957, Hereford House is a locally owned steakhouse that has served generations of Kansas Cityans. Hereford House exclusively serves certified Hereford beef, which has been proven to be naturally more tender and flavorful than other brands. All their steaks are aged 21 days, hand-cut daily, and grilled over an open charcoal flame. This process provides a wonderful aroma and delicious flavor that cannot be duplicated by any other cooking method. Hereford House, Leawood, Independence, Shawnee, and Zona Rosa.
When do you think about your insurance? Chances are it's when you're paying your bill or filing a claim. At Briar Payne Mead, we always think about your insurance. It's what we do. Buying a car, having a baby, building a home, starting a business. Then it's time to call BPM at 913-681-099 or visit us on the web at bpminsurance.com. Great service and extremely competitive rates from the top-rated companies. Briar Payne Mead, 913-681-099. That's 913-681-099.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
Disney Channel's, pushing their nonsense that all you millennials love this, nonsense. That's why you guys lost the election.
With Joshua Brisco.
I know it well.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Is this actually a Blink-182 song and you're playing a joke?
No, this is called Kirby.
Like the...
It's from Kirby 64.
Yeah, from the small pink man?
Yeah.
It is spelled C-U-R-B-Y.
Okay.
I mean, the small pink man is Kirby.
So it's not even
C-U-R-B-Y.
It's not even like the vacuum from the Brave Little Toaster.
That liner is 4 years old now, at least, right?
Yeah.
I still don't know if that guy was doing a bit or not. I still don't know. So strange. The most important, I'm tell you this again, this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, all 3 games each day of the NFL's Wild Card Weekend are all going to be live right here on Sports Radio 810. Very cool to be able to just sweep the board. If you want to listen to NFL football on Saturday and Sunday, you don't want to miss a second of any of the playoff matchups, here's what you do. You turn on Sports Radio 810 at 9 a.m. on Saturday when I'm going to do a radio show right then. And then you don't change the channel until like midnight on Sunday. That's what you do. That's all you got to do. What else could you possibly want? Just wonderful to have that all weekend long. There's a Mitchell Schwartz-based conversation that I want to have that I think we'll probably do sometime, maybe a little bit more so tomorrow. It's not really even about Mitchell Schwartz. Can you guys hear my voice going right now?
I mean, I can hear you.
It up. I think
Yeah.
we're all right. I was starting.
really
it felt like
notice.
I had a flat tire. We're all right. I don't have
been there
a
before.
traditional cough button with this setup though, which is sort of why I just was kind of trying to throw a little
Power
space
through.
in there. We'll talk about the Mitchell Schwartz thing. It's really more about David Bakhtiari, and that's your tease for tomorrow's show, because I actually think that it's a really interesting little dichotomy of how things are set up. But more importantly, the Phoenix Suns won once again tonight. They are now tied with the Lakers for the top spot in the Western Conference.
Very nice.
Just wanted to let you guys know that, and we're never giving it back. Suns back for life, baby. The Denver Nuggets are tied for either the 7th to 12th seed.
Yeah.
Just that whole range. Everybody there is 3 and 4. Wouldn't know what that feels like because my team doesn't lose anymore, actually. They're just 6 and 2 now.
You know,
so
we were in the
thank you.
bubble for longer than a lot of teams, and like the Heat, I think we're just dealing with some mental exhaustion. Bubble life, you know, got to us.
I mean,
we were there
well,
for a while. We were there for a while.
That's true. You did lose in the bubble, though.
We did.
Which is something I
did.
could relate to personally.
I mean, it's true. Suns will forever be undefeated in the bubble.
That's true.
The Sun, we will die with the Suns as the best, with the highest winning percentage in a bubble, I assume.
Knock on wood, because
God, I hope.
I don't know. I mean, who's to say? You know, Beards, you're telling me during the break about a podcast you're listening to and a Suns conversation, and I told you to shove it so we could talk about it on the air.
Yes. I listened to the Low Post podcast, which is very good.
Shocked Pikachu meme.
He had Richard Jefferson on, who was very good.
Never heard of him.
They talked about a whole bunch of, like, do you believe in this team so far things, and one of them was the 6 and what did we say their Phoenix
6 and 2 now,
the
baby.
6 and 2 Phoenix Suns, and whether or not they were legitimate. And I think they came to the conclusion that they were semi-legitimate.
Semi-legitimate.
They think they'll be a playoff team, not a play-in team,
like-
playoff team.
Yeah, like a 1 or 2 seed probably right now. Looks
I think they said like 5 or 6, somewhere in that range. Maybe.
What was the DeAndre Ayton thing that you mentioned to me earlier?
Just basically that he's being used wrong currently, and he's more like a DeAndre Jordan, and they just need to figure, and he needs to like post up more and get to the foul line at all, which he doesn't do.
Yeah,
Josh, you drafted a DeAndre Jordan instead of a LeBron James, the first overall pick.
Yeah, I mean it crushes me every day. I wake up, I stare at my ceiling for 30 minutes and think what the world would have been like if they would have drafted.
At least you're not the Kings.
That's true.
That argument still doesn't matter though, like, because it still blows my mind because it was clear who the best player in that draft class was, and everybody was like, "Well, because he's European, blah blah blah."
DeAndre Ayton went to Arizona.
He was doing things at 18 that nobody in the history of the game had ever done. Like, he was obviously the first overall pick. It is clear that he should have been the first overall pick, but we got dumb. We're like, oh, he likes nachos. We can't draft him first overall.
Yeah. Where's Marvin Bagley at? That's what ended up happening. It was DeAndre Ayton and Marvin Bagley.
It still just blows my mind.
The other thing, though, and I think, Beard, you were also alluding to this via the podcast, but, like, Chris Paul has now played 8 real games with the Suns. Like, there's still stuff. Like, Devin Booker has had a couple little quiet pockets, and they're 6-2. Like, there's stuff that they're still figuring out. Their bench has been excellent. Ayton has not been, although I think he's had a couple of nice games in there.
I mean, he's a good player. I do want to say he is a good NBA player. Yeah. It's just Doncic is like, he's otherworldly. But DeAndre Ayton is a good player.
It's none of that makes me feel better, and I just accept that at this point it's not going to.
It shouldn't.
But I think it's unreasonable to think that this might be their best 8-game stretch or whatever. I have no idea. But I think it's unreasonable to think that they're not going to get better from here, which is very exciting. And other teams will too. But
it's just figuring out what to do with Ayton and stuff, things like that, and getting used to each other.
Yeah.
Jay Crowder's also a low-key good signing by them.
I was so excited when they signed Jay Crowder.
And even Etuan Moore's not like a bad guy to come off the bench and provide you with a spark if everything is just struggling. And I know we make fun of Cam Johnson because he was like a 28-year-old rookie, but the dude can't shoot threes.
He was older than Devin Booker when they drafted him, I think.
It's funny to say out loud, but he's a good three. He's a good shooter. Like he's legitimately a good shooter.
Great. The dueling Cams have been excellent.
I didn't realize I had Javon Carter also.
Yeah, he's still there.
The West Virginia.
Yeah, he's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a blast last year.
I think he'd gotten drafted by Memphis, which was the perfect fit because that was still kind of like partially the grit and grind Grizzlies.
Yeah, they're all about defense.
But then they kind of phased out and then they traded him. I think they traded him. I think that's what happened.
Probably.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, I mean, Cam Johnson's averaging 13 a game. Go Cam.
Cam Johnson's been great. Campaign is incredibly fun. It's a great. They're
Dario Saric is a Croatian star.
Yeah, and he wasn't there at the beginning of the season. I think he was back a game or two ago.
No.
Yeah, he's only played 3 games.
He's getting stronger, baby. How are the Nuggets doing?
Hey, we won 2 in a row. Our first 2-win winning streak of the season. We're moving in the right direction. Unfortunately, Michael Porter Jr.'s back. Unfortunately, we play the Mavs tomorrow. But hey, it's time to win. They need a win tomorrow.
You can't just say the phrase Michael Porter's back. Unfortunately,
he's back. He's back.
He's back.
He is back.
Right.
He is no longer on the COVID protocols. He is back. But unfortunately, we do play the Mavs tomorrow, who have Luka Doncic, who's very good.
Imagine how good they'd be if they had DeAndre Ayton, though.
Whew.
All right, that's the show. AES.show for the podcast. We'll do it again tomorrow. Bye, Mom.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB. The expanded NFL playoffs are here.